Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fast Intentions, episode number 14. I can't believe we've actually made it to 14 episodes. I'm your host, Nathan, alongside my co-host, my father, Todd. How you doing, dude?
Hello, son. How are you?
Not too bad, man. I've already told you this multiple times, but I'm just in a really good mood for some reason. I don't know why, I just am. I was at work. I had to call 3 companies today. 3. Because of stupid crap. And I hate talking on the phone, but I did it. I was okay. I didn't have work. Everyone was being cool. I was bagging orders, running drive-through myself. I didn't care. I was nice to customers, even if they were stupid. I'm just in a good mood. I wasn't upset that you were coming over to record the podcast either. So that's...
It's a nice change of pace, I must admit.
Well, I love recording the podcast, but it's like I work 8 hours. Oh, shoot, Dad's coming over. Because sometimes I just want to ugh.
I wish I only worked 8 hours.
Well, I work 12 hours tomorrow, so...
Yeah.
I'll get my share. So.
Well, before we go any further, I want to dedicate this episode 14, to my good friend Brian Mack, who passed away several years ago. But we always played softball and some other sports, and he always wore number 14. So I just a little shout out to my buddy Brian, who is also my oldest daughter Grace's godfather. So
yeah, shout out Brian Mack.
Yeah,
I've never met the guy, but I heard lots of good things.
Yeah, he was a really good dude. So, we're excited. It's Super Bowl weekend, Nathan. You feeling the anticipation?
No.
No? Oh.
I mean, I'll watch it because it's the Super Bowl. But, no, I'm not I don't really care for I don't hate the Chiefs. But now it's at the point where they're good all the time. It's kind of like, all right. They're going to be the next Tom Brady after a while.
Yeah, there's a little bit of hangover, and that happens when the same teams make it. I mean, there was a ton of Patriots hangover for a long time, and now the Chiefs have kind of taken that mantle. And
it happens in every sport.
Especially being where we live here in Omaha, that
Chiefs fans everywhere.
Yeah, it's the predominant team. So.
8 years ago, you didn't see so many, but now you see them everywhere.
And I get it a lot because I'm a Royals fan and I wear my Royals gear. So then people automatically assume that I'm a Chiefs fan too, and I'm like, no.
Well, that's my issue because I like 2 Boston teams, and then so I'll follow all these Boston reporters on Twitter, and then when the Packers play the Patriots, they're always tweeting crap about the Packers. I go, no, you're supposed to be on my side but. Being in Omaha, I don't have no local team to root for. I think I didn't understand the concept of the Chiefs were the Kansas City teams were the closest, so those were the teams I had to root for.
Yeah.
So, but now I'm too far in, I can't change it. But also speaking of baseball, college baseball starts this month, and I'm really excited. I bought 2 tickets to Omaha's first game.
Oh, who are they playing?
Kansas State.
Oh,
on a Tuesday night.
Nice.
So I asked Mom if she wanted to go, but she goes, it may be like 20 degrees. I said, I don't care. Bring a coat. And I said, if not, I'll ask my dad if he can get off early so he can come watch baseball with me.
Bring a coat. That might be the quote of the day. Bring a coat.
Yeah, we'll have to go down to Lincoln. To go see them play.
Yeah, we went several years ago and saw them play on a
But
Sunday.
I want to see them play Omaha.
Oh, yeah.
Because, as you know, we're Nebraska fans here, but I went to the University of Nebraska at Omaha.
So did I.
So I'm kind of Mavericks by heart. But, I mean, they don't have a football team, and they're not much to cry about in any other sport. But I still root for them over Nebraska. Yeah. But I root for Nebraska, too. All right. You got something you want to start with?
Well, we're going to be predominantly heavy with the Super Bowl, of course, and then the NBA trade deadline passed yesterday, so I know we got a lot to discuss there.
Maybe that's why I'm so excited I get to talk about the NBA.
Well, maybe that's it.
I love the National Basketball Association.
So we're going to start with my question for you this week.
Okay, let's go.
And this is a Super Bowl based, even though we're not going to get to that till a little bit later.
That's fine.
We're going to go
a little
ahead.
Teaser.
Yes, a little Super Bowl teaser. Now, there's 8 teams that have never won a Super Bowl.
Okay.
Doesn't mean they haven't been there.
Yes.
But there's 8 teams that have never won the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Can you tell me those 8 teams?
Okay, you're going to have to help me keep track.
Well, you could write them down.
The Browns.
As you list them.
The Browns. I've never been to the Super Bowl nor won.
Well, they don't show them on here, but I would say that's correct.
Well, did they consider championships?
It says Super Bowl win since 1967. So
the Browns haven't won, did they?
No, but they must have omitted them on here.
So there's 9?
Let's see. That's not them. That's not them. No. Yeah, they must have omitted them. So I guess you can't believe everything you see on the internet. Isn't that what they tell you?
I don't think the Browns have won.
Yeah, not since Jim Brown.
All right, well,
Brown.
he's writing them down for me, so I'll give him some time.
So there you go.
Detroit.
Detroit.
Never won a Super Bowl. See, they must have included championships if they don't have Detroit or Cleveland on there.
Must be. I don't know.
Because
it says since '67 though. So have they won something? I don't know.
Detroit hasn't won shit.
Yeah.
So shout out Steve, our Detroit friend.
You got two right, but neither one of them is listed, so that's kind of crazy.
Jacksonville.
They're not on here either.
Let me see this
Where
graphic.
is this? I can't let you see it. Then you'll have all the answers.
Well, I'm not going to look at all of them. Are you sure it says teams that haven't won the Super Bowl?
Well, they must. Now, what I'm looking at, these must be teams that have played in the Super Bowl but never won.
No.
So based on what I'm looking at here, I just saw it and screen grabbed
So
it.
do they have the Texans? Because they haven't made the Super Bowl either. So that's got to be teams that have made it and haven't won.
Yeah, these have to be teams that were in the Super Bowl but just didn't win.
Okay, so there's 12 teams that have never won the Super Bowl.
So we can edit all this out ahead of time and just go back.
No, we're not editing it.
Damn
You
it.
error. All right, so let me think of the teams that have made it.
8 teams that have been in the Super Bowl but haven't won it.
Okay,
How
well,
about-
Jacksonville and Texans are the 4 that haven't made it. I'm very certain it's just those 4.
Okay.
Titans,
Yes, Tennessee.
because they lost to the Rams that one year.
Lost to the Rams and Mike Jones made the
The
tackle.
1 yard, yeah.
Yep.
Atlanta, because they're 28-3.
Yep. That's two. Two for
Buffalo made it 4 years in a row, never won.
two. That's right, Buffalo.
Look at me.
I am looking at you.
Well,
I do that every pod.
this is about to be a struggle here in a little bit.
Struggle bus.
Minnesota,
Yes.
losers.
Halfway there.
Everyone, they've won it before. I'd had a couple in my head, but now I can't think because I threw it all out with the other ones.
Threw it out with the baby in the bathwater.
They've won. I don't know what the hell that meant. The Jets have won. They won Super Bowl 4 or 3.
Joe Namath.
Yeah, because that's when they beat the.
Colts.
Was it the Colts?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I won't ever remember that. They've won. Carolina,
Yes.
because they lost to because Cam Newton didn't die for that ball. I love Cam Newton. Shout out Cam Newton. I was watching the interview with him the other day. You know who Graham? What's that guy's name? Graham Bessinger. He's a journalist, and he did like a Cam interview once, and Cam was pretty funny on it.
Hmm.
He does like clips on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah,
they lost New England.
Oh yeah, they did. That was second.
Jake Delhomme.
that-
Delhomme.
Was that Brady's second?
Maybe. Because they had
Bengals.
Delhomme and Biaka Batuka, I think, was on that team.
Bengals.
Yeah.
Because they've been twice.
Yeah. They lost just last year.
Yeah.
They lost to the 49ers the other time.
Have the Chargers haven't won, have they?
Nope.
Let's go. It's
Correct.
popping in my head.
They lost to the 49ers also.
Do I have one more?
We need one more.
Fuck. Now I gotta go through all the teams in my head. I could, if I look at a list, I'd be able to see it probably. I don't know what you're doing. Is that a hint? I don't get it. So let me think about it. Entertaining podcasting
Yes.
while I sit here and think.
And by the way, there's 5 teams that only won one Super Bowl.
I'm not going to go through those.
Bet you can name the teams that won the most Super Bowls.
Yes, I could.
Those 2.
Patriots and Steelers.
Oh, Bazinga. Nailed it. First try.
Green Bay's like third, right? Fourth? Or tied for fourth? Or fourth?
Yeah, they've won 3.
They've won
Along
4.
with Denver, the Raiders, and the
Packers won
Commanders.
4.
They have 3 here.
Well, that graphic sucks. They've won 4. It was the first 2. It was the one against the Patriots, and then the Steelers won.
Since 67. Wasn't the first one in 66?
But then why the hell would they have why would they have a graphic about all the Super Bowl wins, but then exclude the first one?
I don't know. It's
Where'd you-
FanDuel. It's FanDuel. I didn't make the graphic.
Look, FanDuel sucks. Get Kay Adams to fix that. Okay, can I look at a list of the teams?
No.
Fuck. 'Cause, Washington's won. I don't know why I even came across that. I'm trying to go through all the divisions. Dolphins have won because they're the undefeated team. But that may have been just a championship. Was that a Super Bowl or a championship?
Super Bowl beat the Redskins.
Okay. It's gotta be some stupid new team. God, I need all the. I'm cheating. I'm not cheating. Cardinals?
Yes.
Okay. I just knew if I look at the teams, I'd know.
Your hint was going to be when this team lost, I was very happy.
Oh, yeah. Poor Kurt Warner
Yeah.
and Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, sorry for the bad graphic. And I should have looked at it closer.
It's okay.
But good guesses on your first two, because those were also correct.
I had four. I had Jacksonville and Houston, too.
Oh, well, okay.
Arizona's the oldest franchise and they never won a Super Bowl. That's pretty shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Have they won a championship?
Yeah, I think so.
Chicago Cardinals?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was a fun little intro.
Yeah.
So now, screw the NFL. We're going to go to the MLB here. I just have a little bit of MLB news.
Okay.
Yu Darvish signed a 6-year extension with the San Diego Padres. 6 years, $108 million.
And when he signed, the manager said, "Bless you, my son."
Okay. Yu Darvish is 36 years old. So a 6-year extension, he's going to be 42 when the deal ends. So just to put it in perspective, the Padres better win the World Series.
Isn't Justin Verlander going to be like 42 when his 2-year deal runs out?
Yeah, but his is like a 2-year deal, and he's still shown to be elite. Like, a 6-year deal is a long commitment, especially for a 36-year-old. So
it's only half of what some people have committed.
Well, that's because like 12-year deals for like someone in their 20s is different than a 6-year deal for someone in their late 30s, I think. And so because they got Bogarts extended till like he's going to be 41. So I mean, eventually, LeBron, and we'll get to LeBron later, and like Tom Brady or people, and we'll get to Tom Brady later. I didn't even mean to do that for both of those, but they're the example.
The tease, folks.
They're
the tease.
Segue. No. They're the example of how Father Time has failed. Like those two are like Father Time gets everyone. Eventually, you're going to fall off a cliff and be really bad. Those are like the only two you can really think of that like didn't really fall off. Maybe Michael Jordan with the Wizards was still a really good player, but he obviously wasn't leading them to three-peats anymore. But so eventually you would think that maybe Bogarts, maybe Darvish aren't going to be good, and they're going to have to owe these guys millions and millions of dollars to be crappy on their team. They're going to be like Miguel Cabrera now with the Tigers. Like, he got that big deal, but now he sucks.
Or like, could be the next Bobby Bonilla, who still gets paid every year.
I think, speaking of that, Rafael Devers, I think he extended part of his thing, so I think he's going to get paid way after his deal is over, too. So that'll be fun paying Devers. Like, hopefully if he's a good baseball player, that won't turn into an issue. But so you just have to worry that eventually down the line, all these long contracts that they're giving out are going to hurt, especially if they're going to digress and not be as good, and they're going to be stuck with them. They can't do nothing. So for the Padres' sake, I hope they start winning the World Series soon, because if they do all this, they don't win, and then they're stuck with all these guys in the line down the line. That's going to be kind of bad for their franchise. But that's the only really thing, and I think they're so far into it that I feel. Can you stop distracting me? I know you want to talk. I think it'll be good in the long run for them, because I think they're maybe favorites in the National League currently on paper.
Bobby Bonilla gets $1.19 million every July 1st until 2035, when he will be 72 years old.
Is it July 1st?
And the payment started in 2011.
Yes. What year?
He started in 2011, and it'll go through 2035.
Yeah.
And the Mets decided to do that instead of paying out $5.9 million that they owed him following the 1999 season.
So instead of paying you $5.9, we'll pay you $1 million for 40 years.
So if Bobby Bonilla played
years.
the lottery, he wouldn't take the one lump sum. He would take the payments apparently.
No, yeah, but shout out Bobby Bonilla. That's a day I post it every day.
Yep.
Every
July
day.
1st.
Happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
Yes.
Because he's screwed. Oh, and
he's
then
celebrating.
Oh, a little bit before we recorded, Christian Javier, the pitcher for the Astros, signed a 5-year, $64 million extension. So with
Job Christian.
Yeah, with him and then Valdez, they got extended. They may have lost Verlander, but they got some really good young pitchers. I don't think Houston's going to miss a beat really this year, which kind of sucks. Because we talk about the Chiefs being like the Patriots, now the Astros are like, ugh, the damn Astros again. But then they got the sign stealing scandal. too. So that kind of puts it.
Yeah, that tainted their one World Series.
Well, 2 World Series now. It tainted that one.
Well, one for sure.
Yeah, but even I don't know how much of a difference that would have made. I think they were still the best team that year, but yeah, it just doesn't paint them good. And then like they are like the Patriots, because the Patriots had the playbook thing and the Deflate Gate,
yeah.
which I mean they still kicked the Colts' ass. I don't know how much that would have made a difference, but okay. And then the other thing is the World Baseball Classic rosters got announced.
Oh yeah.
Did you see?
I saw. Was it who's Devers play for?
The Dominican
Oh,
Republic.
they're like
Yeah, just
loaded.
Yes, I actually have a photo of it. I just kind of wanted to. You want me to read the lineup to you?
Yeah, you can.
So,
I think their top 7 guys in their order were all stars, and the last 2 were pretty decent players.
No, yeah. Were you interested in all watching it? Because I've never watched it before.
Yeah, I've watched it when it's on. Of course, I always like to see USA win, but they usually get rolled by the Dominican Republic.
They're usually later.
Latin America.
They have Trout and Betts, so they're not going to be bad.
So,
yeah, but YouTube TV got rid of MLB Network, so I don't know how the hell I'm going to watch it.
There's a couple Royals on the USA team. I know Bobby Witt Jr.'s playing, and
I did see that.
And I think Brady Singer's pitching. So.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the lineup for the Dominican Republic, and tell me how overpowered this is.
Mm-hmm.
Julio Rodriguez,
Mm-hmm.
Juan Soto,
Mm-hmm.
Manny Machado, Vlad Guerrero Jr.,
Mm.
Jose Ramirez, Rafael Devers,
Mm-hmm.
Teoscar Hernandez,
Mm-hmm.
Gary Sanchez, and then Jeremy Pena, World
Mm-hmm.
Series MVP. So that's all stars.
Say Gary Sanchez is probably the weak link on that team,
But even then he's still a power threat and a former All Star.
He's a solid backstop. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'd say they're probably the odds-on favorite to win.
I don't even know who's pitching for him. I'm picking him.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So
They can throw you out there.
oh shoot, yeah. I don't know why I'm proud of this randomly. Shout out my late great grandpa Jim. He always told the story about how he threw a no-hitter in high school, but he lost because he hit like 10 guys and walked 12 of them. And I always liked that story. It was funny the way he said it. So
yeah.
Yeah. All right, well that's all I had for MLB. Any baseball thoughts that you're itching to get at?
I have a baseball nugget that I will give out later, but
Well, then we'll save it for the Nuggets section.
let's do that.
Hold off on the rocket boosters.
Well, you said it, not me.
I don't know. I told you I'm in a good mood. I'm just
I
down with
know.
everything.
I was off yesterday, and I had the ESPN network on, and that little trade tracker thing was dinging left and right the whole time they're on.
Oh, on the little bar.
Yeah, and so I know there was a lot of activity yesterday, and I know you're the NBA correspondent here at Fast Intentions, so I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Well, I kind of have a list of most of the trade. There was a couple. Dwayne Dedman went to the Spurs, so maybe he could save salary. Like, okay, the Spurs aren't doing nothing; it's not important. So I skipped those, but I have a lot. So I'll just kind of say and give my thoughts. If you have anything you want to contribute, feel free.
Well, the only thing I'll say to start with is the Suns made the big move.
Yes, I have that one last.
Of the day or the week or whatever in the West, and I think the fact that the Suns made the big move for Durant caused other teams to have to shuffle the chairs on the deck and say, "Whoa, we might not be as solid, in as a solid of a position as we thought going into playoffs as we were," because now Phoenix is up to ante. So I think these other teams kind of found themselves scrambling at the last minute to try to do something to kind of, counter what Phoenix did.
Yes,
So.
and then there's also rumors about other people that were involved in that trade. And then Toronto was a big discussion. They had a bunch of people that may have been on the trade block, but then the Kevin Durant thing may have changed what the value was for him. So we'll get there. So I got the kind of the more simpler stuff first. All right, first trade I got listed. It's your Clippers.
Yeah,
Your
Clippers made a couple moves.
Yeah, your Clippers that you don't really
The clip joint.
Yeah, they got Mason Plumlee from the Hornets, and they traded Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
So, Clippers, the big thing about them is they always needed a point guard with Kawhi and Paul George. But they need a backup center really bad because they got Zubac, and that's about it.
And they traded away the point guards they had.
Yeah, so they got rid of Reggie Jackson, who still has 3 years. They signed him because he had that good postseason, but he's not very the answer there. And so Mason Plumlee is just a decent backup center. And we'll get to why they may be trading the ball handlers because there may be someone on the buyout market that they may want to get.
I heard Russell's name mentioned.
Yes, that's probably going to be the guy. And then, so, I mean, decent move for both sides, you know. Hornets get Reggie Jackson. He'll be there for a few years, older. I mean, the Hornets
baseball player?
They're not doing nothing anyway, so. Next one, Clippers got Eric Gordon and 3 second-round picks. Mm-hmm. Eric Gordon's a great wing. He can defend and shoot the three. And he's been in trade talks for Houston for like 5 years, and they finally got moved. The Rockets get back John Wall. Mm-hmm. Ironically, because a podcast just came out talking to John Wall, said his time with the Rockets was trash and it's terrible, and he was so happy to get out of there. And then he just got traded back to him. They also got.
That's funny. I thought a Wall would be really popular down there in Texas. What a bunch!
Yeah, that's a good one.
Thank you.
That's for our liberal friends. They got John Wall, Danny Green, and picks that are to be dated.
To be determined?
Yes. To
dated?
be determined. Yeah.
To be dated?
Yeah, to be determined. I don't know why I said dated. And it's a 3-team. And the Grizzlies got Luke Kennard from the Clippers. So Luke Kennard's a good guy a good guard that can shoot.
Left-handed 3-point shooter?
Yep. Yeah. He can shoot for the Grizzlies with what they need. Clippers, Eric Gordon's a wing. And they got second-round picks. You defend and shoot. That's always good. And then the Rockets got picks, which is nice. And I think John Wall and Danny Green, they're both going to get bought out. So they just got picks and gave up Eric Gordon, who's under contract, so that's more cap space to get rid of. So, decent deal for all teams, I would say.
Yeah.
And Danny Green may be someone on the buyout market, too. Preferably one Boston Celtics.
I saw you liked a tweet that was out there about that.
I would like Danny Green on our team. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just because that's the Celtics' colors?
No.
Oh, okay.
He can defend and shoot threes, what we need. Well, speaking of the Celtics, next trade, Celtics got Mike Muscala from the Thunder for Justin Jackson and 2 second-round picks. So, Mike Muscala is a big man.
Did Justin Jackson play much?
No, he didn't play much at all. So that's why I'm okay with this trade, because he really didn't do much for us. But, you know, he wore the green proudly, so salute to him.
The wearing of the green. That's a bad Irish accent.
So Mike Muscala is a big man. He can stretch the floor and shoot threes at a high clip, which is what we like. He shoots a good percentage. And he'll be our third big man behind Robert Williams and Al Horford. So Luke Cornett should not be getting as much minutes anymore. Even though Luke Cornett's actually been pretty good for us, but we need a better guy to space the floor. Luke Cornett doesn't really do that. And then the Thunder just get a guy that they don't care about that will just be there. They get more second-round picks. They got 2 of them, and that's exactly what they want. Picks.
The Thunder.
The Thunder's got a ridiculous amount of picks.
The lightning and the thunder.
I had Imagine Dragons. So they got a crap ton of picks, so that's a good deal for them.
Easy for you to say.
No, it's not. New Orleans Pelicans is the next one. They get Josh Richardson from the Spurs. So a guard that can shoot threes, space the floor, maybe play very small forward. And then the Spurs get Devontae Graham and 4 second-round picks for him. So Devontae Graham, I think he's under contract for a while. But the Pelicans have a lot of point guards and ball handlers on that team, and he wasn't really, doing much. So, I mean, just to get rid of him and then get like a guy like Josh Richardson who can help space, shoot threes, and not be a logjam at that position is good for them. And then the Spurs, to get picks, they're complete take mode, so they just take on Devontae Graham's contract.
Are they trying to get that
Wembanyama?
That guy.
Well, they're down there. I think the Spurs have lost like 10 in a row.
The NBA must have set a record this week for the most second-round picks traded.
No, this was the second-round pick draft.
It was nuts. I saw one team traded like 5 or 7 picks for one player in a deal.
We'll get there.
And then that same team traded some of those picks to another team. And it's just like, my gosh.
Well, the Warriors did that. They got 5, and then they traded 5.
Nobody wants them.
We'll get down there.
All right.
Well, it's at the point, like, we can't give you first. We'll give you 50,000 seconds. And the teams are apparently okay with it. Next is the good old Lakers.
Next!
Lakers made 3 moves I got laying down. First one, Thomas Bryant, their center, requested a trade.
And they granted it.
Because he wasn't happy Anthony Davis came back and was taking his minutes. But I don't know what the hell the man expects when it's Anthony Davis. And he kind of knew that signing on. So I don't get what that whole deal is about. So they traded him to the Nuggets for Devon Reed and 3 seconds. 3 second-round picks, that is. So the Nuggets need a backup.
We're trading you 3 seconds.
Man, that was quick.
Okay, that deal's over. What?
All right, yeah. So the Nuggets need a backup center because they got DeAndre Jordan being their backup center. And no offense to DeAndre Jordan, but he's
Just foul and make him shoot free throws. That's all they do.
no. But you know how we were talking about Father Time. Father Time has got DeAndre Jordan because he's not dunking enough. He's just he's just there now. He's not. That was his main thing. He was explosive, but getting older, you can't be as explosive. And then so yeah, they needed to back up center really bad. And then the Lakers got Devon Reed in 3 seconds. They got some picks because they have no draft capital whatsoever. So I guess that's nice. Okay, but then they fixed that issue. They got Mo Bamba from the Magic.
Mo Bamba?
Mo
Mo
Bamba.
Better.
Mo Bamba. You ever listen to the Mo Bamba song?
I have not.
You never heard of it?
How's it go?
I'm not singing.
I almost got him, listeners.
Yeah.
Almost got him.
No. So they traded him to the Magic for Patrick Beverley and a second-round pick. So I kind of like Patrick Beverley.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good defensive player, and he was good for the Lakers, but they needed a center. So
Yeah.
and then Patrick Beverley, they said, is probably going to get bought out by the Magic. So
really?
he may be able to. You can go back to the Clippers.
Or the Lakers.
I think the Clippers for that. Have
If you
Russell
get bought
Westbrook.
out, can you go back to the team that traded you?
I mean, you're
Is that
able,
allowed?
I think you're eligible to sign with everyone.
Just thought of that for some reason.
I don't know why. At the point, I don't think they would just keep him
Well,
because they'd have to pay him and then sign him again.
LeBron handles the ball 50% of the time anyway. So,
Well, that's what
do you really need a point guard there?
exactly. So I think that's why they were willing to give him up for Mo Bamba.
I'd say so.
So, and then the big deal, the 3 trade for Westbrook. The Lakers got D'Angelo Russell from
Minnesota.
They got Malik Beasley from the Jazz and Jared Vanderbilt from the Jazz. The Jazz get Russell Westbrook, Juan Toscano Anderson, and Damian Jones. And they got that Lakers 2027 first-round pick. But the thing is, it's actually top 4 protected. So I don't know how the Lakers pulled that off, but they did. So, I mean, I guess if they're still really bad, they still got their first-round pick. And the Timberwolves get Mike Conley, Nikhil Alexander-Walker. Wander. Nikhil Alexander-Walker. And a bunch of seconds is what I wrote. So I don't know exactly what it is. So I think this is a good trade for the Lakers because I love Russell Westbrook, but he just didn't fit with that team. And so he gets a lot of crap for being bad. But, I mean, it's kind of hard when his main thing, he likes to drive and get to the paint. Well,
that's what LeBron does.
That's what LeBron does. So. And then they don't have really much shooters around any of them. So that team was just poorly constructed. So he got a lot of crap, but I think it's going to be bad for Russell Westbrook's reputation, but he's not a bad player.
I think we talked about that signing originally when we first heard about it, and we talked about how his game doesn't mesh with LeBron's game because they basically like to try to do the same things, and he was going to have to try to acquiesce to LeBron and be more of a facilitator. Thank you. But that's just not his game. And you're asking a guy who's been in the league for many years now, or several years now, to try to change his game and do what he doesn't normally or naturally do. And so, I mean, we knew that wasn't going to work out real well.
And it's hard too when they have so much money tied to those 3 guys. So they signed a bunch of I don't want to say scrubs, but
role players.
Role players that aren't
they're not stars or
good role players. They're just players to go over there and play with them.
A roster
because they're we'll figure it out because we got a bunch of good players. But I think the Nets and all that, I think it has proven that you need to have more of a team then. Because Shaquille O'Neal on ESPN, you ever listen to him? Oh, there's the star, there's the other star, and then there's the others. That's what he always says, the others. There's always got to be the other that's good. But the Lakers didn't really have that. They just had 3 really good guys that didn't fit. So getting a guy like D'Angelo Russell, because I think Minnesota's kind of tired of him because he wanted to be more of a focal point, but he hasn't been that good. Mm-hmm. But he could play a 2 to LeBron if he wants to run point. Malik Beasley's a guard that can shoot threes, play good defense, stretch the floor. And then Vanderbilt's a big guy who can defend really well and get rebounds. So that's 3 role players right there that are going to mesh well.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how bad they want to win a title. I mean, you go to the Lakers, you know you're going to have to, as I said, acquiesce your game to LeBron because he's the focal point. Him and if not him, it's AD. So
they made the point too. The Lakers, they had those 2 first-round picks, and that's the only draft capital they have. So they said, well, we may as well go and do something, because otherwise these people are just going to walk, and then we're just going to be completely terrible for the next few years. We may as well try and do something. So I applaud them for that. And then the Jazz, they get that first-round pick. Danny Ainge is the GM over there. He loves his picks. When he was with Boston, he pick. And then he wouldn't trade any of them. They just kind of, faulted out. And then they'll probably buy out Westbrook. And then he could go to the Clippers, which I think would probably be the best fit. not fit, but that's the biggest need right
Possibly.
there. And then, Juan Toscano Anderson, Damian Jones, cool. And the Timberwolves get seconds, and they get Mike Conley instead of D'Angelo Russell. I don't know how much of an upgrade that is in comparison.
Well, he was a pretty.
He was great with Memphis back in the day.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was back several years ago. He was one of the big up and comers, on the for the future. And
he was always
just
really
kinda,
underrated there.
Yeah, and he just kind of fizzled out for whatever reason.
Well, he's older now.
Yeah,
He was supposed to be the answer for the Jazz, but they never got over the hump. So he's a good player. I just don't know how much that changes the needle for them. But I guess they get draft capital. But after they trade away 15,000 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert, you think they're trying to at least do something. So it's kind of iffy going over there. But for the Lakers, there's a great trade deadline. Their team's vastly improved. Is it a championship contender? I wouldn't say that yet. But playing, I think they can for sure do, because they're 13th right now. But 13 to 5 is close.
Well, you mentioned the Nets, when you're talking about the Lakers, and they kind of had to change what they wanted to do midstream after they traded Kyrie. They were going to try to use that trade to help build up around Durant.
But then Durant didn't want to
And
be
then
there
Durant
anymore.
said, well, I don't want to be here. So then all of a sudden, Brooklyn had to change their modus operandi and try to put something together for the future of their team when they were trying to put something together to build around Durant and make his team stronger to make a run at the title. And so the fallout of those two deals was what? You have that there. Durant went to Phoenix and Kyrie ended up with Dallas.
Well, I did have a few more trades before I got there.
Oh, well, sorry. You can go back. You can go back.
Okay, well, I'll do those trades there, I guess, because you introduced it for me. Thank you. So, yes. So, the first thing was Kyrie Irving requested a trade. Mm-hmm. Even though he opted in because he wanted to stick out his commitment with KD, but apparently enough was enough, and he wanted to get out of there. So, he went to the Mavericks. Him and Markieff Morris went to the Mavericks for Spencer Dinwiddie. Nice reunion back in Brooklyn. He used to play there. Dorian Finney-Smith. First-round pick and 2 seconds.
Okay.
And so the thing was with Luka is he's the main guy, and he does everything. He's the go-to guy no matter what. He's got the ball 99% of the time. He's got to do everything besides maybe throw it out to Tim Hardaway or Dorian Finney-Smith. Well, now he gets another star in Kyrie Irving to help offensively, and that's just going to make those two even more lethal. Have to focus on Luka while Kyrie's there. You got to focus on Kyrie while Luka's there. And then Markieff Morris is a decent role player. And then they gave up a first and 2 seconds. So, because you think the return, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith is not a whole lot, but Kyrie Irving's a rental. He's only there this is the last part of his contract. And all the rumor is he wants to go play with the Lakers and LeBron. So chances are he may not even.
He wants to reunite with LeBron.
Yeah. So there's a chance he may not even resign. So I think for taking the chance, especially when the West is wide open at the time, before Phoenix made their move, looking like a superstar, I think it's a great move for the Mavericks. And it's a decent move for the Nets. You got to get something back, especially you don't want to let just Kyrie walk after not winning a title. So there's not much you could do.
Yeah.
Because the rumor was Kyrie didn't want to sign a contract extension with them, is why he requested the trade. He wasn't going to do it, or they were off on money. Well, controversy started up again when as soon as he got traded for the Mavs, he deleted that apology he wrote about remember we talked about the Holocaust documentary. He deleted that apology on Instagram right after, and I asked him about it. He goes, "Well, I delete stuff on my Instagram all the time." So that may have something to do. Probably just difference of opinion with ownership probably had a lot to do with it too. But he didn't explicitly say that. So, but then you feel bad for poor Kevin Durant too, because I want to go play with Kyrie. Oh, James Harden wants to come play with us, and then they all just leave, and it's just poor guy just wanted to win the title with his friends, and they all left him.
Yeah, that was an epic failure there.
Well, and then in fairness to the Nets, that's not their fault. You have the chance to sign KD and Kyrie. You would do it. Mm-hmm. Oh, and you're going to trade these guys to get James Harden? And shoot, they could have won the title that one year if Kyrie didn't get hurt, and if Kevin Durant's big toe wasn't on the line, and that game Game 7 went to overtime, they could have won it instead. So, I mean, that changed a lot.
Well, they had a new owner at that time too.
Joe Tsai.
Yeah, and he wanted to make a big splash, and so yeah.
Yeah. So.
But
so Kevin Durant, him and T.J. Warren going to the Suns for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, and 4 unprotected first and a pick swap in 2027. So, big haul from the Suns, but they get Kevin Durant. The only thing you worry about, I'm just trying to keep it kind of quick now because we've been going for a while. You got Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton. Starting lineup set. So, the only thing is you worried they're kind of weak on the bench. They don't have a whole lot of depth now. They got like Cam Payne and they got that Jake Landale, whatever his name is, playing. Like some older guys, and they're hurt. So you're just worried that if one of those guys get hurt, Kevin Durant has injury issues. Devin Booker is injured right now. Chris Paul has injury issues as he get older. If one of those guys get hurt, is that enough to carry the load? It's the only thing you're kind of worried about with the Suns. But looking at it, if all those guys are healthy and playing, they should be. Should be big favorites.
I'm sure they might be looking at the market with those guys that get bought out. Maybe there might be somebody out there that could help them.
Yeah, help depth-wise. But I don't know how many roster spots they have available either.
Yeah, but Brooklyn didn't hold on to Jay Crowder very long. They ended up flipping him to Milwaukee.
Yep, I got that down. But before I talk about that,
okay,
Mikal Bridges, good young player. Defend, shoot threes. Cam Johnson, exact same thing. And 4 picks. I mean, it's not like a lot, but it's something to start. The picks are the main thing. And at least if they are going to start to rebuild or kind of maybe, I don't want to say reload because I think they're far away. It's kind of decent. At least you got 2 guys, good role players that are still young. So it's good for them. So
well, they still have Seth Curry and Claxton, right?
Yeah, Claxton's still young, so he's got time. Seth Curry they thought maybe would trade him too because he's under contract for just the rest of this year. And then he's just going to walk. So you think, because he's a great role player, they could have traded him and got more capital back. But
should have sent him to Golden State. He could have taken over waiting for his brother to come back.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much they would fit in. So I guess we'll talk about Jay Crowder now. The Bucks got him for the Nets. The Nets get 3 second rounds. And the Pacers get George Hill, Serge Ibaka, Jordan Nwora in 2 seconds. So the Bucks had to send some stuff to the Pacers to get room for Jay Crowder. The Nets get some picks, and then the Pacers get a couple picks. So Jay Crowder is going to fit in well in Milwaukee. Same thing, 3-and-D. You got to have a lot of 3-and-D guys. Mm-hmm. And then Nets get more draft capital, and the Pacers aren't really doing much anyway, so they'll take 2 seconds and some scrubs. Well, not scrubs. George Hill is not a scrub. But Serge Ibaka is going to get bought out, too. So that's another big man on the market. And I'll go through these last ones real quick, okay?
All right.
Clippers get Bones Highland from the Nuggets for 2 second-round picks. That's a ball handler that's young. Rumor was he wasn't agreeing too much with Denver.
Rumor has it.
Denver and their
Rumor has
shut up. He wasn't agreeing with Denver and their system, and they wanted to get rid of him. But it's kind of disappointing for the Nuggets. They only got 2 seconds for him, especially guys in his second year. You think you would get a little bit more from Bones?
Did you say Nuggets?
Can I have my segment, please?
You're in a good mood. Don't ruin it.
I am. You're ruining it. So, yeah, only 2 seconds for a guy that's first-round pick I think he's a first-round pick in his second year. Really young. It just feels like they could have got more from him. And I think that leaves the Nuggets kind of short on ball handlers because, Jokic can handle the ball like a guard, so that doesn't matter. But then they have, Ish Smith coming off the bench.
Well, they have Murray, right, still?
Yeah, he's the main point guard. But I'm just talking about depth-wise. I think it leaves him kind of...
Depth-wise?
Yeah, low. Because Bones Highland's kind of supposed to be there. Oh, he's supposed to step into that 6-man role, and then it never really worked out. So we'll have to see how that plays out. The Blazers and the 76ers made a 3-way trade. The Blazers get Matisse Thybulle. They're a good defender. The Celtics drafted and traded to the 76ers. He's a great defender. He's like all NBA defense, but he can't shoot or offensive weapon. It's hard because he's such a liability in offense, they can just leave him over there because he can't hit the 3 consistently enough. So it's at times he's unplayable.
And what team is this?
The Blazers got him because he's young. And I don't know what the Blazers are doing. We'll talk about them.
Well, they're probably looking for him to defend some of these post guys in the West.
Well, the Blazers are in a weird spot because they want to rebuild, kind of. But then they still have Damian Lillard, who they want to build around. And he's so committed to Portland, he doesn't want to get traded. He goes, I'm sticking it out here. I want to win here. But now it's at the point where it's like, well, you could trade him, get some assets, have a nice rebuild. But because otherwise they don't really have much else to trade. But the 76ers get Jalen McDaniels from the Hornets. He's been a really good forward for them this year. So that's more depth for them. And then the Hornets get Svi Mykhailiuk, who's just a cap thing, and 2 second-round picks. So they get some more picks for Jalen McDaniels, who I don't know how long he's under contract, but he's not part of their future. Raptors get Jakob Poeltl from the Spurs. He's a guy I hope he's a center. I hope the Celtics would go after him. And it shocked me because the Raptors have been in rumors. Oh, they're gonna blow it up because they've been really bad this year. OG Anunoby could get traded. Gary Trent Jr. could get traded. Fred Van Vliet could get traded. But then they get a center because they needed a center for a long time. So
Well, they made that trade fairly early in the day because I know.
they made it after Kevin Durant, I believe.
Yeah, because I know the analysts kept saying that they were waiting for Toronto to do something, and then Toronto never did other than that move.
So I don't know. They think now not the West. They think the East is open and they can maybe make a push. Because, I mean, they're the 10th seed. They're still in the play-in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they feel with the guys they have, they should. But, I mean, they had some good capital if they really wanted to do a big blow-up and reset. They had all the guys to do it, but they decided not to. So I don't know how. Because in the East, it's going to be the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, and the Cavs. Those are, like, the 4 teams I think have a shot. Maybe Miami. But Miami didn't do nothing. They were a big loser. They did nothing at all.
What about the Knicks?
The Knicks, they got Josh Hart from the Blazers. Speaking of the Blazers, blowing stuff up, getting capital. They got Cam Reddish, and they got Svi Mykhailiuk. He allowed that other trade to go down. And then Ryan Ortiz-Diacono and a first-round pick. So they get a first. Knicks get a great guy in Josh Hart. Not shooting as well, but he's a guard forward who rebounds like a
Mother?
MF. Yep. He get like 12 rebounds. He's a great rebounder. He's just a really good role player. And it's good for Cam Reddish. He got drafted by the Hawks. Didn't really fit in there. Got traded to the Knicks. Well, in the Knicks, they have Tom Thibodeau, who likes to play his guys who want to play and win. So poor Cam Reddish never really got a shot over there either. So hopefully with the Blazers getting rid of everyone, he'll have a chance to spread his wings and develop. And then that's all I got. So I kind of went out of order there.
Well, sorry, but so what? Where are the Nets now? How many picks did they actually end up acquiring after all was said and done?
So they got 4 first-round picks for Kevin Durant. They got a first-round pick from the Mavericks. And they got a bunch of seconds, I believe.
Plus a couple players?
Yeah, they got...
You got Finney and...
So they got Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. They traded away Jay Crowder for more picks because they ended up with like 3 or 5 from that deal. So, I mean, they'll still be a fun team to watch. They're not going to be bad by any means, but they're not going to be title contenders.
How many first-round picks do they have this next draft? Do you know?
I don't know. Well, they traded them all away for Harden. They traded them all to Houston. So they don't have much draft capital to begin with. So that's why these, like, you don't look like they didn't get a superstar, but they got draft capital that they lost. So if they start not playing well, at least they'll have picks. So I think for the most part, the Nets didn't do too bad.
Well, they have picks they could either use, or maybe they can move those to acquire a player or two, or maybe have get an extra draft pick or something.
So yeah, well, so
I think they're just going to use the rest of the season as kind of a learning experience to see where they're at with who they have and see how that goes, and that might determine who they think they want to try to keep going forward and who they might want to jettison.
Well, yeah, like Mikal Bridges, he's a really good player. He's a great defender, like all NBA defender. Shoots the 3 really well. You kind of hope he can maybe develop into like a 20-point above that if he has the opportunity to do that, because he's behind Devin Booker and such. Cam Johnson's more of a role player, kind of forward who can shoot threes and defend. Maybe not like elite like Mikal Bridges. So, and then Spencer Dinwiddie's a great player. Dorian Finney-Smith's kind of that same mold, 3-and-D. So they have a lot of good players. They don't have necessarily that guy yet. So that's hopefully where those draft picks and stuff come from eventually. So they're kind of in a rebuild for sure now, which is, they got a good start to it. We'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, excellent work there, Nathan.
Yeah, no problem.
Very informative.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the big story outside of the trade deadline was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar stepping aside for LeBron the other night.
Yep. LeBron James hit a post shot over Kendrick Williams. Did you see the photo of the shot? And remember, Thomas Bryant requested trade. In the photo, you could see him in the post, like calling for the ball. And people are making fun of him. They're going, "No, ain't no way he was giving that to you."
Well, he was wide open, and the guy said he actually thought he was going to get the ball because he had his guy on his hip, and he had him, down in the post. So he was wide open, but yeah, no, there's no way. Because I saw a photo. They showed LeBron walking in that night before the game, and they said, "Oh, he's breaking the record tonight." They said they could just tell by the demeanor and his look on his face. Do you agree with LeBron? Is he the best player ever?
Okay, I don't really want to have. I mean, that's such a played out conversation, but no.
Well, the fact that he calls himself that is, why I bring it up. I still think it's Jordan personally. From all the basketball I've seen, Michael Jordan was the best. Well, the best basketball player I ever saw was Len Bias, but unfortunately he died before he ever got to play in the pros. But the Len Bias I saw in college compared to the Michael Jordan I saw in college, I thought Len Bias would have been the best player ever. But
No, so
LeBron's played 338 more games than Michael Jordan did. But Michael's got 10 scoring titles to LeBron's 1. Michael's got 3 steals titles to LeBron's 0. Michael won Defensive Player of the Year, and 9 times he was the first team All Defensive Player to LeBron's 5.
LeBron should have been Defensive Player of the Year 1 year.
Yeah.
He got screwed by Marc Gasol. He was all NBA second defense, and he won the Defensive Player of the Year. So
MJ leads 5-4 in MVP awards. Michael was 6-0 in the finals with being MVP all 6 times, and Michael's a 10% better free throw shooter. So, and according to Skip Bayless, Michael is the runaway GOAT.
I don't care what the fuck Skip Bayless.
And we know what we think of Skip Bayless here at Fast and Ten.
Fucking loser. No. Well, LeBron said, of course, he thinks he's the best player of all time. I mean, why wouldn't you think that? If you're not thinking that, there's no reason to play. If you want to think you're the best.
True.
LeBron's a really good player. He's the second best player of all time. 100%. People can debate it or not. He's second best. I mean, Michael Jordan's just success and what he had in the finals, winning 3 in a row, leaving, coming back immediately, winning. Like, you just can't debate that. And he's all defense, scoring leader. He was just tip of the top, and there's nothing you can debate about that. But that's not the knock on LeBron. He's such a great defender. He's like a physical specimen. He's like they molded him in a lab or something.
Yeah, his size overwhelmed a bunch of the guys that he matched up against. Just the physicality, like you mentioned. I mean, but he had that size in high school. So
yeah,
that's why he was the can't-miss prospect. Coming out.
Well, even then, people say he's not clutch or his finals record, but he's made multiple game-winner shots. He's amazing. And then people kind of throw that. Excuse me, I burped. Their finals record against him. Well, he made that 1 year with the Cavs, and his best play was like Anderson Varejao. Like, he had no team there when he was really young. Before he went to Miami, and people criticized him for doing that, winning titles, because they said he could never win a title. So he went to do it, and then he got kind of pooped on for it. Then he went back to Cleveland with a bunch of scrubs, and they won against the 73-9 Warriors. When they blew the 3-1 lead. I think that alone shows how good LeBron is in his career. Yeah, so he lost to those super teams with Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. I mean, you can't really hold that against him. That's like a god squad, and he was carrying like a bunch of dingle-doofers there. Mm-hmm. That 1 year they beat the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals when Kyrie was hurt. It was him and a bunch of scrubs. Well, then he legit carried him. That's the most dangerous LeBron. 2018 LeBron.
Well, then they had the one game where they had the ball and had a chance to win at the end, and Dingle, his teammate, didn't know.
J.R. Smith?
Yeah, didn't know time was running out.
I mean, even alone, he carried them to that. He almost carried them to that game-1 victory, and they could have won if J.R. Smith was smart and knew what was going on. Right. So LeBron's a great player. Just to say Michael Jordan's better than him, that's not like a knock on LeBron's greatness. And I hate when people go, well, he's played so many more games than Michael Jordan did. Well, then why didn't Michael Jordan play more games? That's his fault for going to play baseball. And people hold, well, he's such in good shape. People get mad LeBron's in good shape. That's like the argument. Like, come on. Well, LeBron gets way too much hate for no
Michael
reason.
had to get in shape because he was just get beat up so much by the
Pistons.
That he had to get stronger just to survive. So, but yeah, we can move off. I know we got a lot of NFL and football and superb owl coverage we want to get to. So
superb owl.
Yeah, that's what people say because you're not supposed to talk about the Super Bowl, so people call it the superb owl game.
Why can't you talk about the Super Bowl?
No, I don't know, some copyright thing or something. That's why you hear people talking about the big game or big game on Sunday or this or that. And so I don't know. A lot of people just are not allowed to say that phrase for whatever reason.
All right. Well, what NBA news do you I mean, not NBA. What NFL news do you
I
want to
have
start
no
with?
NBA news. I think you just covered all that.
What NFL news do you want to start with?
Well, we can go in depth on the Super Bowl, or we can talk about the fringe NFL topics and finish up with the Super Bowl.
We'll finish with Super Bowl because that's what people want to hear.
All right.
And I'm going to make them sit through this whole podcast and wait for it. So,
all right.
you want to do the awards or you want to do the news? We'll do the news first.
Well, yeah, the big news, of course, is Tom Brady retirement and his second time. And hopefully this is official. He put out a little video message on online, and Twitter. I think most people saw it. And
did you see it?
Short and sweet, got right to the point, and
So I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah, no problem. And, a lot of people reacted to it, and wished him well, and he's the GOAT of football, and maybe the best player of all time.
He is.
And
hate to say it, but he is.
yeah. So we got a lot of run. Of course, there's a lot of people who are, is this really real? Is this for sure this time, or what have you? And he said you only get a chance to have one big retirement ceremony with all the fanfare, and then
he goes, I blew mine.
yeah, he goes, I already had mine, so this is kind of how I'm doing it. So.
No, did you see his sand from the beach? Oh, never mind. I guess that may be coming up later. Well, you should tell me that before the show so I don't bring it up.
Oh, I didn't think you were going to bring it up. So.
Well, it's selling for a lot of money, by the way.
Yes.
So you can give the exact figure later. But no, Adam Schefter tweeted that he officially filed a letter with the Players Association and the NFL. So it confirms that he's retiring.
Okay.
So this says, Adam Schefter said this letter silences any questions about he might make his return. And so now he's eligible for the class of 2028.
I know that's.
Do you think he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer?
That's a pretty good class shaping up because you'll have Big Ben in there and J.J. Watt right now. So.
Well, is Big Ben going to be the year before? He retired last year.
No, I'm sure he'll be the same year.
No, I think it'll probably be the year before.
Well, maybe.
Well, that's also
But still a pretty good class with just Brady and J.J.
Well, did you see there's rumors Aaron Rodgers is going to come back because he doesn't want to be in the same class as Brady? Because Aaron Rodgers got such an ego, he has to have his own class.
Well, he's going on a darkness sabbatical or something. So.
Yep, I'll talk about that later too.
Okay.
I won't get as mad at you as you did though.
All right. We can discuss the Tom Brady retirement, and his career a little bit more, if you'd like. I have some stats, just to show you kind of how impressive his career was.
Well, while you pull up those stats, I'll just say the Bucks are going to be back to same old Bucks now.
Yeah. Well, Tom finished. He's got 7 rings, of course.
Of course.
He ended up over 100,000 passing yards, which I think we found out equated to 20-some miles.
Yep. If you listen old episodes of Fast Intentions.
35 playoff victories.
What? 251
regular season wins. He appeared in 10 Super Bowls, and he threw 649 touchdowns.
That's a lot.
Yes, so that's quite the career, and he probably had enough to run it back another year or two, but I think he just decided this was his time, and I think the fact that his team struggled so much, and a lot of the pieces that they had brought in to have around him just weren't helping or producing. Like Gronk, I think Gronk retire was a biggie, and I don't think people realize how much he was tied to Gronk and having him as a safety net. And so
yeah. Well, I think Tom Brady should have retired after that first Super Bowl.
But he decided to put off his Fox career for another year, so 2024, before he decides to jump into the booth. So
make $375 million.
Yeah, so I'm sure we'll see him around, at appearances and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if he pops up at the Super Bowl this weekend, some form or fashion, or maybe in a commercial, or he's got a movie out. So
yeah,
but
no, yeah, shout out Tom Brady. Never really liked him because he won all the time, but doesn't deny how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and stupid Skip Bayless will say, well, he's so great. But then he'll knock LeBron for playing until he's 40, using that against Jordan. But then Tom Brady's 45, you don't care. So, sorry, I just want to hate on Skip Bayless a little bit more.
yeah, I do.
And then the other news, Sean Payton's now the coach of the Broncos.
Woo! Got to talk about the Broncos every episode. That's our goal here at Fast Intentions.
Well, yeah. So, they bring in Sean Payton, probably the biggest name.
Yeah.
Biggest name, most
big offensive mind.
Yeah, big offensive mind, and he's going to have to have a big mind to fix Russell Wilson, whatever the hell was going on last year.
Well, they asked him because I guess Russell Wilson had his own team of coaches and massage therapists and stuff. And Payton said, no, unless you're on the staff, you're not going to be allowed to come in here. So,
Yeah. So, like we said, when they offer Russell Wilson that much money and they have that much commitment to him, he's going to be there for the long haul. And I guess if there's any mind to help fix that, it's going to be Sean Payton
there you go.
from what's available. So, we'll see how it turns out this year.
Definitely.
They still have lots of potential to be a good team, a good defense. Also, on paper, the offense is supposed to be good. They got a good running back, great receivers, Russell Wilson. So we'll just have to see if they put it together. So I like the hire. Hopefully there's no bounties put out. Otherwise, yeah, that's all I got to say, really. We can make a bigger deal than
Is
it
that a
is.
refreshing sip of your soda there?
Coke Zero, you damn straight.
Damn straight.
Refreshing Coke taste with 0 calories. Nice. So, all right, and then the big thing is all the awards.
Yeah.
So
NFL Honors was last night.
the Kelly Clarkson show.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. I just heard you complaining about it.
She talks way too much. She's a yapper. And then she comes out in this dress with this big, long, flowing gown veil thing. And, of course, it's all cowboy stuff. Of course, she would be a Cowboys fan. An annoying person being a fan of an annoying team. Duh.
Well, you always say that, but the host has to talk a lot. That's their job.
Well, I mean, she's just always talked way too much.
Did she have an opening monologue? Did she tell
Yeah,
jokes?
she came out. Yeah,
Was she
told
funny?
some jokes. She was all right. I don't know.
Conan, I like Conan. I know you don't like Conan.
I don't know if she wrote her own jokes or not. I'm sure somebody kind of helped her out, but
I still don't get how you hate Conan O'Brien. That dude's hilarious. But his NFL honors was his NFL honors was really good because he insulted everyone. But then it got so bad, I think they told everyone else you can't insult everyone so much because he made fun of everyone. Seth Meyers did it one year. He was pretty good.
yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, but he's Steve Harvey said that one year. He goes, "Oh, you finally invited me." He goes, "You got Seth Meyers?" He goes, "Does that man look like he ever touched the football?" They brought Steve Harvey back for 3 years in a row because he was funny. So yeah, awards. Is there anyone you want to start from the good ones to the bad ones or the lesser of? We'll start with the lesser ones.
All right.
The Air Player of the Year was Joe Burrow.
The what?
The Air Player of the Year.
Error?
AIR. Air.
Air.
It's like passing Player of the Year.
Okay.
And the Ground Player of the Year was Josh Jacobs.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Despite the Raiders' struggles, Jacobs actually had a good year.
Especially, I think it's the last year of his deal, right? And
I think so.
And then they kind of I mean, in fantasy terms, Josh Jacobs was falling down the list because people are kind of like, well, he's not all that, but shoot, he's led the league in rushing this year. Mm-hmm. Shout out Jerry for trading him to me in the Postal League. Yeah. If I would have started Daniel Jones, I would have won that damn thing. But I started the massage therapist, man.
Another thing at Fast Intentions, we talk about Nathan's fantasy team every week.
You know what I realized, too? You say here at Fast Intentions a lot.
I know, because I said it a couple times last time. You go, you don't need to say that. So now I say it to irritate you.
Well, you say here at Fast Intentions. It's just us two. There's no one else.
Well, because we're here at the Fast Intentions studios.
My bedroom.
Yes.
So, you do say that a lot.
We need a Fast Intentions made is what we need by the look of this place. But anyway.
You said, well, I'm just coming over. It's not that big of a deal. You did say that. I got text proof.
You
said on the phone.
You did put some
I sprayed some odor spray because you said it smelled.
Yeah,
I'm a big-ass dude. I'm
so
so big, there's a reason we don't show
smell.
ourselves on these podcasts. Let me lose some weight first, and then we'll post video.
You're a good-looking man.
I know.
Okay.
No, so, I mean, Joe Burrow, Air Player of the Year, sure. But that's because once the one person wins the award, they can't give it to them. Because you think the MVP on offense would be the Offensive Player of the Year, but it's not.
Well, didn't Mahomes set the record for the most passing yards in a season this year?
This year? I don't know.
Like 53,000 or something. So, I mean.
Well, people say it's fake because he's got an extra game now.
Oh, well, I don't know.
But
they all have an extra game.
I think Justin Jefferson set a record this year, but he did it within the 16, so people are like, well, that's okay.
Doing the gritty?
Yeah. All right. Assistant Coach of the Year was D'Amico Ryans from the defense coordinator from the 49ers.
He's the new head coach now?
The Texans, right?
Yes.
So that's a good
I remember
good look for
I remember him as a player.
Yeah. Great. That defense is bolstered over there in San Francisco. I think I could go over there and coach them, and they'd be good. So as long as they weren't hurt. So, yeah, shout out to D'Amico, though. Mm-hmm. And hopefully he'll have fun in Texans trying to figure that out.
You D'Amico.
I hope you didn't. And then Coach of the Year went to Brian Dable, who I think we said on the season recap that he should be the favorite.
You thought he was the favorite?
It was him and I said Pete Carroll and
Peterson.
Doug Peterson. I think Robert Saleh could have got some consideration too for what he did with the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said the Jets get a quarterback, they're gonna be scary. They'll be a playoff team next year.
Good call by you there.
So, and then I also included the Walter Payton Man of the Year was Dak Prescott. Shout out Dak Prescott.
Mm-hmm.
They always have like a little package that shows all the stuff he did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch the NFL Honors. I worked last night. So, but shout out Dak Prescott, giving out in the community.
Yeah,
he always seems like a good dude.
It's got to be hard to make that pick because each team has a representative and they all do so much for their communities and downtrodden people and what have you. So that's got to be a hard vote.
Definitely.
And I'm sure they try to move it around to different teams. So it's not always the same teams getting rep. So
because that tackle for the Rams wanted them.
Mm-hmm. Who retired?
Whitworth.
Yeah.
So, comeback player of the year was Geno Smith.
Makes sense.
He set the all-time passing yards record in a single season for Seattle. That's not how they say it. They say it a little bit better than that.
A little more succinct.
Yes. And then I can't think who else was nominated, but that was kind of a category. When I looked at it, I go, a lot of people could win this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to look it up because Hugh at Fast Intentions, that's something that happens a lot.
Why do you always say that?
What?
Here at Fast Intentions.
I don't
it's just
say it.
us in here.
I don't say it. I don't say it a lot. But do you want to talk anymore? Oh, it's Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley were the other two.
Those have both been deserving.
Yeah, both very deserving. That's why I saw it. I go, that could be. But Geno Smith, especially because no one really saw it coming, I think that was kind of the more.
Well, plus he's older, so the chances of him winning it again are pretty slim.
Well, you hope none of those guys have to win it again.
Well, yeah.
Because you got to get hurt for that to happen.
Well, not necessarily, but yeah. That's generally the consensus.
Yeah. But shout out Geno Smith.
Uh-huh.
Probably earned himself another year. If the Seattle doesn't feel like they got a quarterback in the future, we'll just roll with Geno again.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a lot of good young pieces over there. Speaking of teams with good pieces, and we just talked about them earlier, the Jets.
Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about that last pod.
Offensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Rookie of the Year. Garrett Wilson for wide receiver for the Jets, and then Sauce Gardner for the Jets as well. So, shout out the Jets for getting a few draft picks right. What draft is it? Who did they pass up on? They took that tight end, and then everyone was pissed. And who was the person they wanted them to take? Oh, I can't think of who it is.
When was this?
It was a long time ago. It was like a clip about it, like biggest draft mistakes and.
Oh, is that when they took Kyle Brady?
Yeah, who they pass on? Who did they want? It was a running back, right?
Was that Curtis Enos?
No, it was someone else.
It's all right. Don't Google it.
I'm going to.
Don't Google it. No.
What, do you want to think of it?
No, I'm just joking.
Oh, I'm going to Google it because. But shout out, they're not making those mistakes.
Did you know the NFL draft's in Kansas City this year?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to go.
Yeah, I was thinking about it too, but I'm not sure when it is. It's going to be in the Power Light District, isn't it?
Oh, they wanted Warren Sapp.
Oh, that's right.
And they kept going, we want Sapp.
Well,
they drafted Kyle Brady.
Teams kept passing because he had some kind of drug thing on his roll. He failed a drug test or something. And because I remember I think it was Chris Mortensen was reporting on it. And, of course, he came out with his agent and said, I don't know where this is coming from. This ain't true, blah, blah, blah. And Chris Mortensen would say, well, every team's got a copy of this. It was like a marijuana thing, I think, at the time, which now nobody really gives a shit about. But
yeah, smoke some weed. We don't care.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So they didn't make a Warren Sapp mistake. So,
yep.
But yeah, shout out for the Jets. They got a nice future. And then hopefully they give us Garrett Wilson and some people for Aaron Rodgers. Offensive Player of the Year, we kind of mentioned it. It's different from the MVP. Justin Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
Great receiver for the Vikings.
Yeah.
So I wish he had a better quarterback to throw him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Kirk Cousins is a good guy. He's just not. He's not one of those guys that'll. He can't carry your team.
Yes.
He would fit better in like a San Francisco system.
Mm-hmm.
If he was there, he'd be phenomenal, and everyone would be like, "Oh my God, Kirk Cousins!" But then when they expect him to like win the game, he can't do it. But that's not the knock on Kirk Cousins, even though I just like hating on the Vikings. But no, shout out to Justin Jefferson. Very good player. Gritty his way on the stage, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Nick Bosa won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
But 49ers led the league in sacks.
He was there with his brother last night. I saw that. And he first thing he did was thank his parents and his brother and said he loved him and appreciated him pushing him. And
It's okay.
Stop
We don't
Allen.
mess
Let's
with Nick Bosa.
No, or Joey.
We don't mess with him.
No Bosa.
No.
No Bosa, no Bosa. You better Bosa. No Bosa.
Nah, Nick Bosa. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but he's a good football player.
Yeah, we're talking about the players.
Well, you made a wall joke earlier, so you can't judge me.
Sorry.
And then
I'm not
MVP.
judging you.
And then MVP is Patrick Mahomes.
Well, pretty obvious.
Well, I figured it would be Jalen Hurts's until he got hurt.
Yeah, he was leading. But.
So, and then, it's kind of the Carson Wentz thing. Carson Wentz was the MVP, and he got hurt. Who won? I don't remember. Was that the year? I think Brady won it that year. And then Nick Foles ended up beating him in the Super Bowl. So maybe it'll be the same thing. Jalen Hurts gets hurt, loses, and then beats the MVP in the Super Bowl.
Well, there's a little stat
So
that comes with that we can talk about when we get to the Super Bowl.
Yep. So I think for the most part they got all the awards pretty much okay. I don't really know who's nominated. Or there's no scrubs or nothing. I don't think, or no snubs, not scrubs. There's no scrubs that got nominated. These are all good players.
Well, if they're a scrub,
They didn't have worst player of the year.
If they're a scrub, I don't think they would have been nominated. At
That's
all,
what
so.
that's what I just said. Yeah, it's like the Razzies. Maybe they should have a Razzies for the NFL.
Yeah.
MVP for the Razzies is
Yeah.
who's a very crappy player.
Somebody on the Packers. Let's see.
Bro, shoot. Sammy Watkins.
King.
Okay. And then, do you want to go through the Hall of Fame class that got announced?
Yeah, you can.
Do you have the list? Because you'll probably say these names better than I will. I don't know.
No, I don't have the list because you said you had it, so I didn't keep it.
Okay. Well, Rondé Barber.
Yeah, we talked about him.
Was it Don Corell? Is that how you say his name?
Don Coryell. He was.
Coryell?
He was
Okay.
a coach. He was Dan Fouts when he played with the San Diego Chargers. And they brought
That name's
the
familiar.
air attack, and they used to call San Diego Air Coryell because they threw the ball around so much. And yeah, he was really emphasized the passing game, and he had Dan Fouts and some good receivers and running backs, and Kellen Winslow, the big tight end. He was kind of like Gronk back in the day. Travis Kelce kind of back in the day. Just a real dynamic offense to watch, and just chucked the ball over the yard. Yeah.
Well, shout out him.
Yeah.
Chuck. I can't even read what I wrote. Who is that? Chuck who? Harley?
Howley?
Okay, I can't.
He was a
read my
linebacker
writing.
for the Cowboys, and he's
I don't know who it is.
He's the only player to be named Super Bowl MVP on a losing team. They lost.
You know who that is in the NBA?
They lost to the Colts, 16-13, and he just had a really monstrous game.
They gave it to him. That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you know who that was in the NBA?
No, I have no idea.
Jerry West.
Okay.
Chuck Howley. Sorry, I can't read it. It looked like Harley on my paper. Joe Klecko.
Klecko? Yeah, he was
Klecko?
I think he was a lineman for the Jets. I think he was a tackle. Defensive or offensive, I can't remember, but yeah, he was real synonymous with the Jets for many, many years.
Okay. Darrelle Revis, a guy I know.
Yeah, we talked about another Jet. We mentioned him last week as probably one of those for sure guys.
Ken Riley.
Ken Riley, I think, was a defensive back for the
See, it's good when you don't know whatever.
Bengals back in the day, I think. I'm pretty sure he was a defensive back. And if I remember right, he had like a big fro. But yeah, I think he was a all-pro defensive back for the Bengals, I think, for a few years. And he might have played on a couple other teams.
He spent his entire career with the Bengals.
Okay.
Well, from 70 to 83, you were a young lad.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joe Thomas, we also said was part of the lock.
We thought he
for
was
Cleveland.
for sure. Yeah.
Zach Thomas.
Yeah, he was one that we talked about, the linebacker out of Texas Tech, played for Miami for many, many years. And Coach Johnson, Jimmy Johnson, thought he was for sure, first ballot, and he went to bat for him. So.
And then DeMarcus Ware was the last one.
Yeah, we talked about him.
So I think the other people would talk about Devin Hester didn't make it.
Yeah, I think Devin Hester was a slight, but he made his mark in special teams, and for whatever reason, the Hall just hasn't fully recognized the special teams contribution of players.
Which is weird because if they want to do it, Devin Hester would be the first guy to put in there because he's the best.
I mean, like Ray Guy's in there, and he was a punter. So, I mean, if you got a guy kicking the ball to somebody, how about the guy who's catching the ball and returning it from that person? I mean,
well, you got to have a punt. I think they just do it because that's the position. Like, there's not like a punt returner position. Because like Devin Hester was pretty close to it.
yeah, he was the one that I think we thought I think we maybe mentioned 4 or 5 guys that we thought were pretty sure first ballot, and we thought Hester would go in.
Yeah.
I think he'll get in. It's
Eventually.
not that he won't get in. It's just
When?
he should have probably been first ballot because of what he did and how he affected games.
And then the only other guy I mentioned was Jared Allen. Well, I mean, that's just a guy I knew. I didn't necessarily say he's first ballot, but so yeah. Shout out to all the guys that made it.
Yeah, congratulations to them. It'd be a big ceremony, in Canton.
Shout out to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys I knew.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always nice.
Yeah.
And then here's the big mama. Super Bowl Sunday.
The big mama.
The big mama, Super Bowl Sunday. So, like we said, Eagles, Chiefs, I don't really care about them. They're just there. I don't even think I kind of liked about the Eagles is they have the fight song. It is kind of catchy. Fly,
Well,
Eagles, fly.
I'm not a big fan of either team, but I'm excited in the fact there's a lot of offensive potential in this game. So
That'll be exciting.
I expect to see some big plays. I expect the Chiefs maybe to throw a trick play in there. Maybe the Eagles will too. I'm expecting more of an offensive game. Whether or not it's like super high scoring, but turnovers will play a part and what have you. But we have a lot of I have a lot of stats about the game that we can discuss, and then we can actually get into the bones of the game itself. And then
the Bones Highland.
And then we have a special guest we're gonna talk to about the game.
Yeah, speaking of that, I mean, I don't like the Chiefs and the Eagles, but we got a guy I know who likes both. There's not a whole lot of people that can say that.
Yeah.
So we had a nice interview with our friend Brad in the fantasy league.
Been a fan of each team for over 35 years.
Yeah. So we had a chance to sit down with him earlier and talk a little bit about the game.
Yeah, it was enjoyable, and Brad's a fun guy to talk to, and he's pretty knowledgeable, and he's got a great memory. He can remember a lot of details from like when he was younger and stuff, and places he went and things he did, and he's good with his timeline of things. And so, yeah, he's a fun guy to talk to, and we've known Brad. I've known Brad for quite a while, and you've known him for several years now, just because he's friends with me. So
yeah. So we sat down with him for about 30 minutes and talked. So take a listen. All right, now we're here with our friend Brad, an Eagles and Chiefs super fan. What are the odds of that happening this year? How you doing, Brad?
Good. Pleasure to be here. I'm a listener of the podcast. Very excited to be on.
Oh, yeah, you're the first guest, too. You got the honor in case we ever blow up.
Yeah.
Brad was the first person to ever be on here.
It's going to be a trivia question. Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
Yeah, the trivia
Well,
question.
let me start with a quote that you posted today, Brad. Quote, "The Eagles and the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. I can't believe it. I just typed that. Very special." So tell us, Brad, how you became a fan of both the Chiefs and the Eagles.
Okay. The way I became a fan started when I was a little kid, probably 8, 9 years old. I had a cousin, well, he's still my cousin, who is a huge Dallas Cowboys fan.
Boom.
And I wanted to be pick the opposite team back then. This was the early, middle 70s. And so I picked the Eagles. They're arch rivals of the Cowboys. So that's kind of how the Eagles started.
Did you have a favorite player on the team when you started liking the Eagles? Was it like Harold Carmichael or Wilbert Montgomery, somebody like that?
Back then, to be perfectly honest, I really didn't. I was still just, kid. My dad was into sports. I'd watch, games with him on TV, but not that deep into it yet,
Okay.
And then also at that same time, Dallas was always going deep into the playoffs, winning Super Bowls. This was the 70s, of course. The other team, the AFC team that always used to be right there with Dallas, was the Pittsburgh Steelers. And there was a Super Bowl one year, I think it might have been 76, that Dallas and the Steelers were in the Super Bowl. And
is that
of course,
the one
my
that was
cousin,
in Miami?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And my cousin, of course, was for the Cowboys, so I went for the Steelers. And that kind of launched me into having the Steelers as my second favorite team. So that's when the whole two favorite teams started.
Same state.
Yeah, that's right. And I had my little Steelers jacket and all of that stuff. And then as time went on, the Steelers kind of changed into the Chiefs, probably because most of my younger years I lived in the Midwest,
Okay.
South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa, and the Chiefs were kind of the, pro team of the Midwest,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So that's when the Chiefs and Eagles fandom was born. That's how that started. And then as I got older, got into my teenage years and the rebellious years, I kind of fell out of watching football. I'd watch the Super Bowl every year, and that was about it. Back when they were always blowouts, it seemed like. And then about the time I turned 21, I was living in Salt Lake City, Utah, probably 87, 88, flipping through the channels one Sunday afternoon, and the Chiefs were playing. And something just hit me, and I thought, I wonder how the old Chiefs are doing. And I watched the game, and it just hit me right there. I just got right back into it. And at the same time, I thought, well, I'll see how the Eagles are doing, and started following the Eagles again. So that's why I always say I've been a diehard fan for about 35 years, because it really started in about 1988, And that was also kind of an exciting time to be a fan of those teams, because the Chiefs had a new head coach, Marty Schottenheimer.
Oh, yeah.
And they had, names like Derek Thomas and Christian Okoye and Neil Smith. And, after spending the 70s not winning, they were losing in the 70s. They never went to the playoffs. And at the same time, the Eagles were about in the same situation. They had Randall Cunningham as their quarterback, and Reggie White and Seth Joyner and all those guys, and it was kind of a rebirth of both of those teams. So it was really a exciting time to be a fan of them, and it just went from there. Watched every one of their games ever since. Buy the merch, go to the games, all the things you do when you're a sports fan. So that's kind of how it started.
Well, the Eagles kind of had the premier defense back in the day when you were talking about Seth Joyner and Reggie White and those guys. I mean, they had a really tough defense.
They really did. Yeah, they were known for their defense. Buddy Ryan, I think, was the coach of them when I really started watching them. You know? So, yeah, it was all defense.
Yeah, you're kind of out of my league right now. I'm talking about players and stuff.
Yeah. No. Yeah, we're rough. Brad and I are roughly the same age, and we've been friends for about 20 years now, Brad, would you say?
Yeah, probably something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, Brad's a good dude. We kind of connected right off the bat when I first met him, and we've had a good relationship ever since. So, but, yeah, the fact that he's both an Eagles and Chiefs fan made it apropos that he be on to talk about the Super Bowl.
I know, and I didn't know he was a Steelers fan at one point.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm glad he got out of that.
My opinion of him is kind of fell off there a little bit when I heard that story. Because I said something about something about the Steagles the other day, and you kind of popped right up with that. You knew that
jumped
story.
Right on that, didn't I?
Yeah. So. Yeah,
it was actually the Steelers. Yeah, and then it just kind of changed to the Chiefs.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I was curious because you got two franchises to choose from here now. Is there like a favorite moment you have from either one of them? Like a
favorite moment?
Just like like obviously winning the Super Bowl is probably up there, but your favorite Eagles moment or like Chiefs moment?
Since Patrick Mahomes came to town, it's just seems to be favorite moment after favorite moment. But before that, I always say my favorite game I ever watched was, maybe 95, 96, but it was when Joe Montana was with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs could never win in Denver.
Okay.
And it was Monday Night Football, and Joe Montana beat John Elway and the Broncos that night, and that was just one of the most exciting games I ever think I watched at the Chiefs. So that's right up there for the Chiefs. The Eagles, probably when they got to the first Super Bowl and they lost to the Patriots. Just the fact that because I always said, having these two teams, I hope I get to see at least one of them, if not both of them, in a Super Bowl in my lifetime, and them playing each other in the Super Bowl would be just the ultimate. But when the Eagles finally got to that Super Bowl, that was a special moment, even though they lost, and then a few years later they finally won one. So, but that first one, even with Donovan McNabb and even though they lost, that was a pretty special moment there. So that's a couple of them, anyways.
Yeah. Now their very first appearance, Dick Vermeil was their coach, and they lost that one too. Was it? Was it Chicago they played that year?
It was to the Raiders.
The Raiders. That's right. That's
in 1980. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you a fan of the Eagles then?
I really wasn't. That was
Not
about
yet.
the time that girls and partying took over my life.
Yeah.
The important stuff. The important
definitely.
stuff.
So, we asked about the Eagles. Do you have a favorite Chiefs player? Through your history that you.
Derek Thomas.
Yeah,
he's got to be number one. Just what a great defensive player. I got to see him play a couple times live, and he's always in my number one spot.
Well, I know you go to. I know you posted. It's not Burrowhead. It's Arrowhead. I saw that post.
Yeah.
I know you go there a lot. Have you been to Philadelphia to see a game?
No, I haven't.
Never,
in fact,
never.
I've seen a lot of Chiefs games, but the only time I seen the Eagles was the very first Chiefs game I ever went to, and it was a total coincidence. They played the Eagles in like 92, I think. I was living in Utah. I was coming back to Omaha for a visit, talking to a guy we all know named Scott.
Okay.
And he goes, we should do something, this time when you come back. How about we go to a Huskers game? And I said, how about a Chiefs game? And he looked in the paper and he said, yeah, there's going to be one the weekend you're here. And I said, who are they playing? And he said, the Eagles. So how much perfect was that?
Deja vu there, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome.
But that's the only time I've seen the Eagles. I've seen the Chiefs at Arrowhead. I've seen them in Mile High, the old Mile High. And I seen them in the Kingdom in Seattle.
Oh, wow.
So, yep.
Awesome. Now, you're pretty active on Facebook with your fandom. And it's not, we're not just posting what you think, but I mean, you post before the game, you give halftime updates, and then you give your synopsis after the game's over. And you're putting these little cartoons on or these animations. I mean, you go pretty whole hog. How did that start, and where do you get all your material from?
Just as far as the material, I just get it all over with. Some I make, some I get off the internet. If people were to look at some of the files on my computers full of this stuff, they'd probably think, "What's up with this guy?" But I don't know when it started. I think it just, when I first got on Facebook and football season rolled around, it just seemed like the thing to do, an outlet to post some of that stuff. So, yeah.
Well, some of that stuff is pretty elaborate. I mean, I know I've commented on it a couple times, but what inspires you to create it? You just see something, or something hits you, or a certain game, or?
Yeah, I don't even know if I can explain it. I always like creating when it comes to the computer, and I feel Facebook was more than just a way to keep in touch with your family and post cat videos. I try using it as a tool to create or to put my stuff out there, so it just kind of rolls out of the brain and into the keyboard sometimes, but
that's what the best stuff's made. When just kind of when it gargles out there.
Yeah, it's amazing. I see it every week, and I said some of that stuff's pretty cool. So
yeah.
Well,
thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Let's talk about the actual game itself. What do you think the keys for each team are? Let's start with the Eagles. What do you think the Eagles need to do to come out with a victory?
I think the Eagles need to win like the time of possession game. Just to keep the ball. If they're going to win, I think they need to keep the ball away from Mahomes as much as possible. Two great young quarterbacks going at it. Both of them have little lingering injuries, that you don't know. I mean, Hurts has got a shoulder injury that they don't hardly talk about, and we all know about Mahomes' ankle. But I think my heart says the Chiefs, but my head says the Eagles. I think the Eagles might be a little bit the better team right now. And if they can kind of just, Hurts can run and he can run well.
Yeah.
And if they kind of keep that going, I think the defense is real good for the Eagles. I think that's the key to it, is just play their game, but try to hang on to that ball as much as they can. Long, sustained drives,
Oh, definitely.
That's good.
I know
we got a prediction too.
Yeah.
We didn't even need to ask for it.
We'll ask that.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine.
No, that's
fine.
good.
Nathan and I are going to delve into the game a little bit more, but I think line play, offensive, defensive line, will definitely be a key for the Eagles, because they seem to be strong in the areas you need to be strong at to kind of slow down the Chiefs. They have a good pass rush. I don't think they will need to blitz a lot, and they have a good back end where these guys can cover these receivers. And
Yes.
we all know Kelsey's the key. When things break down, he's the one guy Mahomes is going to look for. And I think that might be the Eagles' one weakness is that I don't think they have a linebacker that can really keep up with Kelsey. So they might have to use a safety, and play maybe more man-to-man instead of zone. But,
yeah, it's beginning to look like nobody can cover Kelsey. But that's another key to it. Yeah, if they can somehow slow him down or stop him, that's a major key to winning the game.
Yeah, first ballot Hall of Famer. And then I also agree with you. Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil our picks.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
I agree that Eagle position-wise are definitely the more talented team. But then it's just one of those things where Mahomes is so elite, Kelsey is so elite, Andy Reid's he's a master guru at the helm with all his play calling that you just kind of. You also want to give the Chiefs that edge, too, because of it.
And you can't overlook experience, too, because the Chiefs have been there 3 of the last 4 years, and a few of the Eagles played in that last Super Bowl, but a lot of them, it's their first time. And, all the extra media availability you got to do, and, press and stuff, that can, kind of screw with your head a little bit. So you talk kind of about the Eagles' defense. What do you think, how their offense matches up against the Chiefs' defense?
I think it matches up well. I think the Chiefs are going to have their defense is going to have to play like they did in that Bengals game, which they very well can, especially coming off of that game. But I don't know. I guess you could say if there was any weak point for the Chiefs, it could be their defense at times. But I think they got to have another big, solid game to stop, A.J. Brown and that passing attack, plus the running of Jalen Hurts. So they just got to be on the top of their game.
Yeah, they've been pretty effective with their RPO game lately with him and Sanders, and Bart Scott's got a little bit of time back there. But yeah, I know Frank Clark and what's his face, Chris Jones have to have a big game, but I think the problem is, they're facing the Eagles' offensive line. It's got like 2 All-Pros on it, and that's the strength of their team. So can they be neutralized where Chiefs don't have to blitz a lot? Because I think if the Chiefs have to blitz a lot, their tight end Goddard's going to be a little more open to get free, and then they're going to have those one-on-one matchups down the sideline like you're talking about with A.J. Brown. And I don't know. I mean, the Chiefs played really well in their back end against the Bengals, but can they replicate that against the Eagles and their high-octane offense?
Yeah, that's it. Can they rise to the occasion one more time?
Yeah.
To all my Chiefs buddies out there, I'm sure it sounds like I'm really leaning towards the Eagles, but like I said, my heart, but then you've got the magic of Mahomes, and something tells me, he might do it again. So
yeah, it's I've been going back and forth all week myself, trying to analyze this myself, and I still don't.
It's
not
a
sure
real tough game to predict. It's a real good matchup.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a good game, but
yeah.
Okay,
well,
now
so am I.
Yeah, okay. Let's go to the Chiefs side. What do you think the Chiefs need to do to come out and win this Super Bowl? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but what do you think they're going to have to try to run some screens and draws to kind of slow the rush down for the Eagles, or?
Yeah, I do. I think they need to slow down that defense, and then it's just, business as usual. They got to hopefully Kelsey keeps getting open. They got that run game starting with Pacheco. He's kind of a little X factor.
No, yeah, definitely. Him and McKenna both are, good 1-2 punch.
Yes. And I guess I haven't even heard, the receivers were dropping like flies in that Bengals game. I assume most of them or all of them are going to be healthy enough to play.
The only one I've heard who isn't playing is McCole Hardman. I heard he's out.
Oh, okay.
But
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah. But he had just come back and then got hurt again. So
yeah. Well, the one thing with the Chiefs, at least receiver, variety is the spice of life. While Kelsey's the appetizer of choice, you can sprinkle in all the condiments as far as the receivers go. I mean, which one do you pick to slow down? I mean, Tony, right. MVS, my boy Juju. Yeah. I mean, any one of them could have a big game or get loose on a long touchdown. I mean,
that's right. It used to be Tyreek Hill, but now it could be anybody.
The traitor. The traitor.
Yeah.
And then what about the coaching factor? I know it's Sirianni's first Super Bowl, and Andy Reid's an old veteran. So, I mean, that's got to make a difference somewhere.
Yeah, you got to go with Big Andy, I think. He's been there before. And, of course, that's yet another storyline. He was a coach of the Eagles for years.
Definitely.
So,
yeah.
But, yeah, I think I got to give the nod to Andy on that one. I think he's going to be at his best as well. So,
okay, do you have something, Nathan?
Yeah. Oh, shout out Cheeseburger Andy Reid, my guy. But no, I was curious if you've seen. I know the 49ers are probably still upset that they lost, but I've seen a lot of people talking crap about the Eagles about how they're not a real team or they're going to get exposed in the Super Bowl. I think you see a bunch of 49ers players are saying that. I've also seen people discrediting Jalen Hurts and Sirianni, saying, well, with that talent of a team, anyone could do it. I just kind of wanted to hear your thoughts and stick up for your boys.
Yeah, that is one thing that really got to me after those championship games were over with. You had the Eagles didn't play anybody in the playoffs. They shouldn't be here. And the Chiefs, everybody I think was pulling for the Bengals. So I responded by just going quiet. I wanted to post a lot of stuff. I had my cousins coming after me. They were 49ers fans. And I just thought the best way to deal with this is I'm going to shut my mouth and move on. All I can say to that is it's football. It's football. It's big guys smashing into each other. If the Eagles had to play the Giants and the 49ers, and the 49ers ran out of quarterbacks, and the Giants were maybe shouldn't have been there themselves type of thing, hey, that's who they had to play. So, but I think it was evident at the beginning of the year when the Eagles were, undefeated for a while that they looked like they were the favorite for the NFC right from the get-go, So I don't know why people are surprised at this point. The only really drawback was Hurts with the shoulder injury, so, and the Chiefs are always seem to be a favorite right now. So I don't think it's that big a surprise that these two teams are here at the end,
Well, it's number one seed from both conferences.
Number one. Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I know you've kind of hinted at it, but you're kind of leaning towards the Chiefs, it sounds like. Is that what you're thinking? And
kind of sound like Eagles
when
to
the
me.
when the game kicks off. Do you know who you're going to end up rooting for, or are you just going to try? Will you be neutral?
I'm going to try to be as neutral as possible and just enjoy the game, because, like I say, I can't lose. One of my teams is going to win the Super Bowl again, but
yeah,
again.
If I gun to my head, I think I'm picking the Chiefs. I think Mahomes is going to do it again. Late fourth quarter, overtime, whatever it is. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as a lot of these people are picking, I've heard 33-30, that kind of stuff. I'm going to base my prediction on that first game I talked about that I have my first NFL game I ever went to, which was the Chiefs and Eagles.
All right.
I got to pick something,
Uh-huh.
That was 24-17 Chiefs. And in that game, the Eagles were the much better team. They were having the much better year. I remember the night before when we were in Kansas City, I was deciding on what gear I was going to wear to the game because I had Eagles and Chiefs stuff with me, and I'm glad I wore Chiefs. But 24-17, that's my pick for the Super Bowl, Chiefs.
Now, I know last time I talked to you in person or on the phone, I guess, you were telling me we were talking about Mrs. Kelsey, and she's been getting a lot of run lately. And you admired her jersey that she had. Have you had any success in acquiring one of those?
No, not yet. But
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll come up with something. I got my hat today. I bought a shirt, like I was telling you a couple days ago, when my teams make it to the Super Bowl in the past, I want to buy their stuff. I want to buy the Chiefs shirt or the Eagles shirt. This year, I want to buy stuff with both the teams on it. So
you're not going to wait for the Sports Illustrated commercial after the game to order your stuff, huh?
That's right. Yeah.
You gotta find because don't they make the copies of both beforehand? You got to get a copy of whatever they're going to ship out to
you have to travel to some
Right.
third world
Charities,
country and
yeah.
find your gear.
So you get
That's
both Super Bowl champs. Yeah.
So what's the Babb family going to have for nutritious nourishment during the game? You have a big party, or do you like to sit there by yourself so you can take it all in?
This year, even though, I'd like to do something because it's such a special game for me, I think I'm going to watch it me and my wife and my cat are going to watch it in the living room and just enjoy every second of this game because this could be once in a lifetime experience for me. So, unless you want to start throwing Dynasty around, but
Well, the Chiefs
I don't know in this day and age if that's possible. But no, sit at home. And the guy that I own a glass shop, of course, and the guy that delivers my windshields the other day, we were talking about the Super Bowl, and he says every year they make food for the Super Bowl based on the teams that are in it. So, like this year, he's having Philly cheesesteaks
and some barbecue.
Yeah,
That's a good party. I like that.
Good idea,
That's pretty good. Can you give me his address?
When San Francisco was in it, he said they had sushi and stuff like that.
I would have made rice-a-roni.
There you go.
Do you have anything else for Brad, Nathan? Or
No, I'm good. Thanks, Brad, for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
you bet.
We appreciate you making time for us. And
because the first thing I did when I saw the night game was the Chiefs were going to maybe win. The first thing I thought of was Brad.
Yeah.
Because I even messaged him. I go, "Who are you going to root for?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of people contact me over this, and I don't know. It still seems strange to me when I look at commercials or advertisements for the Super Bowl, and I see those two football logos on there, and they're the ones I've been looking at for 35 years, and now everybody. I don't know. The whole thing is just kind of bizarro and strange, but I'm going to enjoy every second of it.
So when it kicks off, you're gonna get tight, or you're gonna get relaxed, or do you know?
I'll be relaxed. I always tell people over the years, Chiefs are my number one. If I got to pick a number one and number two, Chiefs are always number one.
Okay. Okay.
So probably deep down inside, I'll be pulling for the Chiefs, but I'll be pulling for the Eagles too. So I don't know. It's gonna be a strange game to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah, with everything on the line, there's no game after this. So
that's right.
It'll either be Fly Eagles Fly, or it'll be that tomahawk chop.
Yeah.
Depends on what it is at halftime, I guess.
Yeah.
Will you be posting on Facebook to update the scores during the Super Bowl?
Oh, I'm sure I will on this one. Yeah,
All right.
I'm sure there'll be something on Facebook.
Well, we'll be looking for it. Well, thanks for coming on, Brad. We really appreciate it. And I guess enjoy the game. I know you will, but hopefully it's a good competitive game and not too stressful for the old ticker.
That's right. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys, and you guys enjoy the Super Bowl as well.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Well, that was fun. Yeah, I have some stats here before we get into the bones of the game. I've been kind of waffling all week who I think I'm gonna pick, but I throw some stats out here for you. This is the third time the top passing offense matches up against the top passing defense, and the top pass defense team has won the 2 previous times. I don't have down who that was. I think one of them was San Francisco in the San Diego game, but I don't remember the other one.
I'm assuming Chiefs are the top passing offense.
Yes, they're the only 2 teams possible. So,
Well, what do you mean? The Eagles could have been the top passing offense.
well, okay, sorry.
That's why I just wanted to make sure.
Yes,
I assumed it wasn't the case, but I could be wrong.
Yes. Since Patrick Mahomes was named as the first team All-Pro quarterback since 2001, All-Pro quarterbacks who are participating in the Super Bowl have gone 0-8.
I don't believe in that a whole lot because every time they come up with those stats, it usually gets broken.
Well, that's true. Well, how about this one then? The Chiefs will be wearing white and the Eagles will be wearing green in the Super Bowl. And 15 of the last 18 Super Bowl winners have worn white.
Well, that's true, but when the Eagles beat the Patriots, they were wearing green. And the Patriots were
15 of
wearing
the
white.
last 18.
I know, but I'm just saying the Eagles are good at breaking the streak.
So you think the Eagles can circumvent that?
Well, they circumvented it once. They could do it again.
Well, that's true, I guess, huh? The Mahomes-Jalen Hurts matchup is the matchup of the youngest quarterbacks ever to compete against each other in the Super Bowl. Patrick comes in at 27 years of age, where Jalen is 24.
Nice.
And
imagine if that was 3 years ago.
And
Mahomes was 24.
as we mentioned with Brad, I mean, even though he's only 27, Mahomes has quite a bit of experience playing in the Super Bowl. So, will that be a factor? We shall see.
Yeah. That's kind of the point I was trying to make when you talked over me.
Well, that's because I wanted to save it till then. I'm just teasing.
It's okay. All love.
The Madden they ran a simulation of the Madden NFL 23, and that predicted an Eagles victory.
Well, the game's trash.
31-17.
The game's trash, so that doesn't
But it's
matter.
Madden.
Shout out John Madden, but the game sucks.
You can shout out John.
I'm
Madden
not buying
all you
it. I'm not buying it until EA doesn't make it anymore.
You can shout out John Madden all you want. He's not going to hear you.
That's messed up, dude.
Well,
That's too early.
it's too soon.
Yeah, too soon. I'm bleeping that. Beep. I'm joking. I'm not going to bleep it. That's too much effort.
Do you have any?
Do you have any more stats? Because I think they also said this is the first time 2 black quarterbacks are playing each other in the Super Bowl.
That's true. I didn't. They said it's the first time 2 Christian quarterbacks have played in the Super Bowl. So I guess it just depends on how far you want to get into it. So
Really, first time 2 Christians?
that's what the guy posted. I don't know. I mentioned the quarterbacks going 0-8 since 2001. 2001, Kurt Warner. 2002, Rich Gannon. 2007, Tom Brady. 2009, Peyton Manning. 2013, Peyton Manning. 2015, Cam Newton. 2016, Matt Ryan. 2017, Tom Brady. And 2022, Patrick Mahomes.
Make it back to back.
Yeah, so those are your loser quarterbacks since 2001. But yeah, the stats for the quarterbacks, Patrick had 5,700 yards passing, as Jalen had 3,900 yards. Patrick had 49 total touchdowns this year, whereas Jalen had 39. Completion percentage, Patrick threw for 67.4%, where Jalen was 66.2%. And their passer rating, Patrick was 105.5 and Jalen was 100.6. And I also believe I saw a stat where the Eagles and the Chiefs have scored the exact same number of points this season. And I believe it was 363, I believe they said. So that was kind of an interesting little tidbit.
I think that's pretty good for Jalen Hurts, especially considering he's missed 2 games.
Yeah.
And I think he does a lot more on his legs than Mahomes does.
Yeah, very efficient, and they run that, like we talked with Brad there. They run that RPO series, and because of the threat of him running, Miles Sanders has been able to get loose and get some yards. And the Eagles have a strong offensive line, as we talked about. They have 2 All-Pros with Kelsey and Lane Johnson on the line. So,
Speaking of that,
okay,
we don't do this often because there's mostly lots of games to talk about. Before we make our predictions, we have listed out each position for each team, and we're trying to think who has the edge on each. Maybe to help lean us kind of in the direction to figure out who we want to pick.
yeah, we can discuss the matchups there a little bit.
Before we do that, did you have any more news or stats? Because you were kind of talking about it. I don't want to go away from it if you still have more.
I just want to throw a few tidbits in there. I mean, you could find all kinds of things. There was a seal that they had in a zoo somewhere, and they put 2 signs on the window, and it picked the Eagles. And Jimmy Fallon always does something with puppies, but I haven't seen it yet this year.
You'll probably. It could do it tonight.
Maybe
it's Friday.
Because he always has one puppy named Ron Frick Jr. or something like that.
No, I know what you're talking about.
It makes me laugh whenever he's like Junior, but yeah. So
that's a trap hole. That's a rabbit hole on YouTube. Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show games.
Oh.
You find that playlist, you can watch those for hours.
Yeah,
I've done that.
But they've kind of changed their MO because they used to have like 9 puppies and they release them and there'd be like 2 bowls. Well, last year they just had 2 puppies and 1 bowl of kibble. And they each had a different jersey on, and so they walked down there. And you thought the Rams puppy was going to eat it, and that would have been right. But he kind of hesitated. The Cincinnati puppy snuck in there and ate the kibble first, but of course that puppy was a liar.
Yeah,
because they didn't win.
Because they do. So I'm thinking about the Jimmy Fallon thing.
But speaking of the Eagles,
okay.
Do you know what a group of eagles is called?
Oh fuck! I don't know. A flock.
No.
Oh, that's seagulls.
Yes. I ran.
That's it. Give me some.
Oh.
Ooh. All right. No. What's a
convocation?
I don't know, convocation? I can't even say that.
So when we make our predictions, if we pick the Eagles, we have to say we were picking the convocation.
Okay. Well, if you look at my thing, you can see what I picked.
I don't want to do that.
All right.
Let's keep it clean here at Fast and Tensions.
Here at Fast and Tension, loser. All right. So do you want to start? We kind of did
You don't need to ask me where we start. You just tell me where we're starting.
Well, I like to let you know.
All right.
Where we're going before you start transitioning into my other trades that I was saving for. I'm joking. I just like to hate on you. I'm in a good mood, like I said, so we're good. I joke.
Thank you.
Like Eminem said, I joke, I kid.
I like the peanut M&Ms.
No. All right, quarterback. We'll start because we kind of compare them. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts.
Never heard of them.
Well, where the fuck have you been? All right, so I'll let you go first. Who has the edge, the Chiefs or the Eagles?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. Like I said, if you're going with the experience, it's Patrick Mahomes all day. He's got a coach that knows his game, knows how to set up a game plan. If he's really dealing with a high ankle sprain, which some people don't really think he actually has a high ankle sprain because they said it's a lot more difficult to come back from that than it appears that he's dealing with. So they think maybe he's just got an ankle sprain because they said a high ankle sprain it takes weeks to come back from, and he's out there running around and doing whatever.
He's just so tough.
I guess. And if he made that much improvement in 1 week, imagine what he's going to be like in 2 weeks. So. Got a good offensive line. I don't think they're like elite, but he's got a good offensive line, and put your hand down. And he has lots of weapons, and he's got got his main man Kelsey, and he's got a lot of options as a receiver. I think we did mention McCole Hardman's not playing, but he's got a lot of guys. He's got McKinnon out of the backfield who he throws to a lot. Pacheco's coming on. I think they just reactivated Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he just got reactivated, but I don't know how much he'd play.
Not a whole lot.
But, Patrick's really good at throwing on the move, and I got a feeling he's going to be on the move a lot. Jalen Hurts is a good mobile quarterback. I think Brad said he had been dealing with a shoulder injury that hadn't been talked about much.
Is it the same he hurt that 1 week? Or what did he have when he was hurt during the year?
I'm not sure. It might be the shoulder impingement still. But we mentioned a little bit about the RPO game. So you got to respect that because, if he gives the ball to Sanders and you're taking him, then, Sanders could get loose on you. or if he gives, when crunch time comes, he tends to hold on to the ball more than giving it off. And I don't know if that's just because he's more confident in himself, or he's worried about maybe a turnover, because some of that RPO action, you got the running back has to put his arms out, and the quarterback puts the ball in his belly, and then the quarterback has decided to leave it in there or to pull it. And so, I mean, that takes a lot of timing and reps to get that down real well. So, I think they're real similar to their traits and what they both like to do. I think Patrick's probably a little bit better passer. So I would give the edge to Patrick in the quarterback battle. Just comparing him to Hurts.
So yeah, I have a question about when we're doing this. Are we comparing like in their situations, or are we comparing just player wise? So I know Mahomes has got Kelsey, and then Hurts has his weapons. But are we just saying who's the better quarterback, Mahomes or Hurts? Or are we thinking about the whole shebang when we do this?
Well, whatever way you want to go. I mean,
well, I think either way, depending on the weapons and stuff, I still think Mahomes is just a better talent overall. As of now, not to say that Jalen Hurts can't be a good talent, but he's younger. This is his first real year of being an MVP candidate. Mahomes has proven that he's going to be the elite of the elite for years to come.
Well,
especially when they pay him $500 million.
But they won't be on the field at the same time, though. So, I mean, do you want to compare Mahomes to Hurts, or you want to, you're going to compare Mahomes based on the Eagles' defense and what he's going to see out there?
Well, I thought we were just saying who's the better of this position.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
that's what I was thinking.
That's cool. We can go that route.
Okay, that's why I was.
Okay. So then the running backs. Who do you give the edge to the running backs there? We'll just go back and forth here, and we can ping back and forth, and you can take the running backs here.
So Okay. Do you want me to list them out or just talk?
Well, you can just mention them as you go.
Okay, so I picked the group of the Eagles over the Chiefs group.
Okay.
I like the three head of Miles Sanders, Gainwell, Boston Scott. You talk about McKinnon and Pacheco are really good with the pass game. Well, Gainwell is pretty good in the pass game as well. They do a lot of sweeps and stuff with him. I just like their experience. Like Miles Sanders is a vet. He had a really good year this year, especially after kind of not having as good of a year as the last year. Remember, I was talking about fantasy because you're always like, well, Miles Sanders isn't that good. Well, and he kind of came out of nowhere. But that's because they have a lot of weapons otherwise. That's not necessary.
That's your reference point for these players. So.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I just like what they do more over – because I guess you make a good point, too, when you're not just comparing them straight up. Because if it's, close, you kind of give one the edge over depending on the team situation, too. So, I think – because with Hurts being more dynamic on the run game, that kind of opens things up for the running backs, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just like the group of the Eagles better. That's kind of how I went.
Well, I think on talent alone, you would have to give the advantage to the Eagles. But, I mean, Pacheco's kind of, just kind of start
coming on.
He didn't play a lot at the beginning of the year. And then once Allaire got hurt, then they brought him on. But McKinnon's very underrated, too. I mean, he's caught a lot of passes out of the backfield for touchdowns and, first downs or whatever. And it's just I agree with you. I give the Eagles the edge, but I wouldn't say by much.
No, I wouldn't say by much either. And I think another reason I did is because Pacheco's this is rookie year, so he's still learning. Yeah. So I kind of just like the Eagles better based off of that. And then, do you want to do receiver?
Yeah, we can go receivers. Basically, to me, this is quality over quantity. The Eagles have Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, a couple other guys. And then I think I mentioned with Brad that there's Juju, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Scantling, just a whole plethora of guys. I'm sure there's a couple other guys, but talent alone, Devonta Smith and AJ Brown,
take the cake.
Well, yeah, they would match up against any of these other 4 or 5 guys that the Chiefs have head to head. But that said, if you have 4 guys that can hurt you, it's hard to stop them. Yeah, thank you. Because they can move these guys around. They can move Juju in the slot and get him against a smaller a corner, or maybe they could try to get one of these fast guys like Sky Moore or something, try to match him up against the safety for the Eagles. And I expect the Eagles to play a lot of man coverage so they can focus on Kelsey more, because when you play zone, that leaves gaps open for Kelsey to get into, and if Mahomes just moves a little bit, that moves that zone, and Kelsey's really good at finding the little spots to drop down in the zone and present himself for Mahomes as the outlet.
The big example of that Bills game, that overtime, that 14 seconds, because that was the zone. He just there, Kelsey.
Yeah,
and then, I always like it when he catches it because he just kind of like goes into it and starts moving. He kind of like slides into the catch.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Talent alone, I would give the edge to the Eagles here.
I agree. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith were, I think, better than most. I think the group of the Chiefs got. And then, because it's funny, I got an article too where it listed key players in each position group when we did this. It was A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins. So I threw Quez Watkins' name down there. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
And so next, tight end. I have the tight end position. No offense to Dallas, got it. A really good football player, but Travis Kelce takes the cake by far. It's just I think so.
Yeah, Travis is the best tight end in football now that Gronk's retired, and
first ballot Hall of Famer.
When Gronk was there, it could be 1A, 1B. I'm not a big fan of Travis Kelce the person, but as a football player, he's a number one. But don't undersell Goddard. I mean, he's got a chance to be a big part of this game plan, and he could have an impact in the game. He's my pick to click if we go to that route. But keep an eye out for Goddard. But yeah, Kelce will definitely be a focal point of the Eagles defense, and it'll be a focal point of the Chiefs offense. So it'll be a cat and mouse game right there to see how they do that. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Kelce maybe line up in the backfield in a formation and then split out or move around, or they'll probably put him in motion a lot to try to move the defense. So. Yeah, it'll be cat and mouse game there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I don't mean to undersell Goddard either. It's just Travis Kelce's just the top of the top.
Oh yeah, no. So that's offensive line. I mentioned earlier, Eagles have a strong line, 2 All-Pros. I mentioned Kelce and Lane Johnson. Not to mention Leonard Nickerson, who they have. The Chiefs had Creed Humphrey, who they drafted a couple years ago. Was all-pro, not all-pro rookie his first year.
He was all-pro this year too, right? I think.
Nope. Kelce was the all-pro center. Good, strong player. The tackles for the Chiefs are a little bit weak, but the Chiefs do enough, and Mahomes being mobile and what have you are able to, disguise some of that weakness. But, definitely I would give the edge to the Eagles in this department, and the strength of the Chiefs' defense is their defensive line with Clark and Dunlap, Chris Jones, and Karlaftis. And if the Eagles can neutralize those guys and not have to blitz, that's going to just make it easier for them to cover the receivers and Kelce.
Yeah,
so, that's going to be a big component of the game. Is can the front four of the Eagles, where they actually rotate some guys in. Can the Chiefs hold up, and force the Eagles to do some different things to get pressure on Mahomes?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's not even a knock the Chiefs' offensive line. The Chiefs have a good offensive line. It's just the Eagles are ridiculously good.
The Eagles have the best line in
exactly.
football when everybody's healthy.
So, it's kind of hard to – yeah, I mean, not to the Chiefs' credit. It's just the Eagles.
Well, no.
In that department, yeah.
And when we make these comparisons, we're not knocking the other team. We're just comparing the strength of one to the other. And, I mean –
yes.
On paper, the Eagles are 2 All-Pros versus none. But like I said, Cree was all rookie center last year. In his first year in the league, and I really wanted the Steelers to draft him when they said they took a tight end, but that's neither here nor there now. But
no.
So you're going to go to special teams, or are you going to flip to defense here?
I mean, we can go to special teams if you want.
Okay, go ahead.
So kicker, Harrison Butker or Jake Elliott.
Well, the Chiefs do have the All-Pro punter,
Tommy Townsend.
Mm-hmm.
I do have Townsend as the favorite over. I don't even know the Eagles punter. Brett Kern.
Okay.
That's his name. So I don't know who that is. So by that point, I kind of picked Townsend and he's got the long flowing hair too. He's able to, as Pat McAfee would say, punt them bombs. So.
Well, I think that's a pretty even race. I mean,
kicker's pretty even too.
I think Butker might have a little bit more distance than Elliott, but
that's it. Yeah, I picked Butker over.
Yeah.
So special teams. We can go to defense then.
Okay.
So like I said, I looked at an article. They put defensive line and linebackers together. So I don't know if you have them separate.
I have them separate, but
Because they have Chris Jones and Frank Clark, and then they had Hargrave, T.J. Edwards, Hassan Reddick, Ndamukong Suh, and Linville Joseph for the Eagles. They lumped them all together.
well, they have that hybrid position that's kind of a linebacker or defensive line, depending
Like
if you
edge.
want a 3-4 or 4-3.
Yeah.
And Hassan Reddick kind of falls into that. But, I mean, we've touched on a little bit about we touched on the Chiefs' defensive line. But the Eagles have Brandon Graham, Robert Quinn, who they acquired in a trade.
Yep.
Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, and Ndamukong Suh, as you mentioned. And they only play 4 of those guys at a time. And so then you have at least 5 guys, probably 6 guys that you can count on, and you can rotate them and keep them fresh. And like I said, you can throw Hassan Reddick in there. So, yeah, that's going to be a big challenge for Creed Humphrey and the rest of the offensive line for the Chiefs because, the Eagles are strong at both lines, really strong on offensive and defensive line. The Chiefs have solid players, like we mentioned a little bit ago, and I think I didn't mention Dunlap, but just based on, head-to-head matchup, you got to give the edge to the Eagles there.
Yeah. And shout out to Chris Jones having a great career year.
Mm-hmm.
He had
All-pro.
Yeah.
Yep.
13, 14 sacks, I think.
Yeah.
So, great to him. He's a great player, but yeah, I think just the depth of the Eagles is better. And then DBs, I think Darius Slay is probably the best defensive back by far on both sides. So, because then they got James Bradbury, and then on the other side they have Justin Reed and L'Jarius Sneed. Excuse me.
Ed Schneebly.
Yeah, Edge. Hey, this is Ed Schneebly.
And they have Justin Reed, who the Chiefs have Justin Reed, who they picked up from the Texans, and Thornhill. I mean, the Chiefs are dealing with some injuries in the back end there.
Yeah.
And, they all played real well against Cincinnati, but, the Super Bowl is the next level. And, the Bengals have strong receivers, and they're comparable to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. And they were able to hold up against them. But I'm sure Nick Sirianni will look at the tape and kind of see how Cincinnati went after him and maybe changed a few things or, game plan to try to take advantage of them or what have you. So,
I gave the Eagles the advantage.
yeah, I would definitely give the Eagles the advantage in the back end just because the top level players. Now, I will a side note. I believe the Eagles and Chiefs both had 6 Pro Bowl players on their teams. So,
Yeah.
another evenly matched statistic.
Yeah, just by saying one position's better, it doesn't necessarily.
Yeah.
Just because you have more doesn't. Because the advantage between them can be. Well, I think Mahomes obviously outweighs a lot. He can bring up the running back and receiver core, even though they may not necessarily be as talented.
Yeah,
so
it's
that's
just
the big thing.
Yeah, like I said, we're comparing them to each other, but really, the Chiefs' defensive line is not going to face the Eagles' defensive line. It's going to be,
Just the offensive line.
Yeah, so that's where it's all going to come in. And then, untimely penalty, a costly turnover. I mean, there's all kinds of little factors that can play in to the games. So,
Oh, and then last head coach.
yes.
I gave it to Andy Reid because he's more experienced.
Well, you have to. As Brad mentioned, he's coached both teams.
Yep.
Not that he's has much to do with Philadelphia, but he's been in the big game. He's been to the big game and lost. He's been to the big game and won. He knows how to. I think he's got his pattern down, how he likes to approach the Super Bowl and how do his practices and gives team his breaks and and then when to amp things up and when not to and stuff. And a lot of that you got to learn. And so, not that Nick Sirianni won't lean on friends or colleagues or what have you, but just being able to experience that yourself and be able to set up your game plan and your practice schedules and stuff. That that's an underrated aspect of all this. Because a lot of this will be overwhelming for some of the players. Some of these guys that might only play on special teams, what have you. This is, this is like might be their only shot to play in the big game, and they want to take advantage of it. And sometimes those nerves can creep up on you, and you might make a play or might not make a play that you normally would.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of variables, but Yeah, I mean, I've been debating it all week, and
What's your final conclusion?
I'm still not sure what I'm thinking. But
I got you. I got the Eagles over the Chiefs.
you got the Eagles. You got a close game, or
I think it will be very close. I don't have a score. I hate doing scores because I'm always
Yeah,
off.
sure.
But no, I just think the offensive line for the Eagles would be more to handle than the Chiefs' defensive rush. And then I just like because it's hard because Patrick Mahomes is so good
yes,
that you think that he'll just have the advantage over whoever because he's so good.
Uh-huh.
But I think defensive wise, I think people are really underrating the Eagles, and I think they'll be able to, especially because the Eagles. And then, like I was talking to Brad, a lot of people kind of, Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, anyone could do it. But they have to go out there and they have to perform. They have to make the throws, and they've been doing it all year. So I think what the talent they have is just too much against the Chiefs. I just like their team better.
well, I think the Eagles' defense matches up really well with the Chiefs' offense. I mean,
Yes.
the things that the Chiefs do well,
Eagles
the
cover.
Eagles defend well,
Yes.
and they're going to get pressure on Mahomes, like I said, and if they can do it without blitzing, that's a big advantage to them. But they also, when Patrick tries to escape, they can't let him get outside. Like Cincinnati last week, the end got crushed down to the inside, and Patrick was able to escape outside and pick up those 10, 12 yards. I mean, they got the roughing the passer penalty on top of it, which let him win. But you just can't let Patrick get outside, even with his bad ankle. You need to kind of
Contain him.
keep your lanes and force him up to step up in the pocket where he can't get out, and just kind of contain him. And they kind of, I don't want to say it's a mush rush where they kind of rush kind of 3/4 speed. They're not going to do that, but they just want to try to keep him contained. And if he's moving around and trying to avoid the rush, he's just not going to have time to be looking downfield to do his little flips or no-look passes or over his head or behind his back or.
Hopefully he doesn't pull a whole lot of those out.
Well, hopefully he doesn't need to, but.
Except the one against the Bucks. Remember the one where he was like vertical and he like flew it 30
Yeah.
yards into the end zone?
Yeah.
That was an incomplete pass, and I was like, they voted that like 99th best play of the year.
So, so on paper, I think the Eagles' defense matches up really well with the Chiefs' offense. It doesn't mean there's not going to be a breakdown here or there, where, like I said, we talked about putting Kelsey in motion out of the backfield. I mean, you can formation a team to get them out of their lanes, what they want to do. And I'm sure, having 2 weeks to game plan for a team instead of 1 week makes a big difference. And I'm sure Andy Reid has tricks up his sleeve, and the Eagles have to be ready. And on the Chiefs side, like you said, dynamic quarterback. He makes everybody around him better. If he's actually injured and he gets it re-aggravated or something, that's going to make a big difference.
That was also a big part of why I picked the Eagles.
Yeah, well, if you compare the Eagles' defensive line to Cincinnati's, it's a big push to the Eagles.
Yes. Shout out Hubbard.
Now the Chiefs tend to have a tendency to make a big play when needed. Chris Jones will get a sack, or Patrick will just scramble and flip the ball to somebody and get just enough yards for a first down. Excuse me. So, I lean the Eagles, but then, like you said, that whole Patrick Mahomes thing comes in the play, and then the noviceness of, if that's a word, of Jalen Hurts. Will he try to make a play that's not there instead of just doing the basics? And I'm at on paper, if I put it down on paper, I would pick the Eagles, but I'm going to take the Chiefs because I just think there's going to be a play somewhere along that just turns the momentum, and I can see the Chiefs getting a late game field goal to win it, and maybe 32-31 or 32-30 or something in that range. I think the over-under is like 51 or something like that. So I see it going over a little bit, but I'm hopeful a real close competitive game. Like I said, two dynamic offenses and a pretty dynamic defense. But, the Chiefs' defense is going to say, hey, we're underrated, we're not getting any pub, and maybe Nick Bolton or somebody like that will step up, and he's gonna have to play a strong game. The linebacker out of Missouri, he's gonna have to have a big game. Got to tackle well. That's a biggie. But the one weakness the Eagles defense has is I don't think they have a linebacker who can cover Kelsey one-on-one. And so if they have to use a safety to do it, that'll change things a little bit too. But I have a tough time picking this, but I'm like Brad. Something in my head just tells me the Chiefs are going to pull it out. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles and the Convocation did it as well. I know that's kind of a waffly pick, but I'll take the Chiefs. You pick the Eagles, so as Brad, one of us is going to come out a winner.
Damn straight.
So,
and I got Brad's pick written down, 24-17 Chiefs.
yeah.
So we can make fun of him. That's not true. Even though he won't care because one of his teams is going to be Super Bowl champs. So, yeah. I don't really I always hate picking the best team, but.
Well, these are the two best teams in the league basically all year. So, I mean,
Well, I guess I didn't. I picked the Bills, but I'm tired of picking the fucking Bills. I'm not picking them next
I mean, this is the matchup you want. You want the two best teams in there, and that's
well, Green Bay's not in it.
I said the two best teams.
And then the two worst teams. All right.
Yeah, before we get into our Nuggets and such, sorry, I want to shout out Jameson Schrader, our buddy from Arkansas, one of our new subscribers. So thank you to Jameson. And I know what you said, but a koozie will be on its way to you. So thank you. And also, I noticed we have another new subscriber. So we're at 25 now. So if subscriber 25, if you'd like to reveal yourself to us, and we'll also get you a Fast Intentions koozie. So we appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah, I finally got Matt his koozie.
Yeah.
After we had fun at Raising Cane's.
And I want to introduce a new segment to the Fast Intentions lineup.
See, I didn't think about that until we started doing Super Bowl. Are we going to do this at the beginning of the show normally? I think it's a good intro.
Well, we can.
Because you know how you ever watched Scott Van Pelt? I
Yes.
texted you this. He has his
big thing.
Yeah, best thing I saw. I think this is a good time for it.
Okay, well, we'll have the new segment. Whether or not it'll happen every week, it depends on what happens. But we're going to call it our eyebrow raiser.
Pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, talking is done, you're out of your...
We've all seen the video where Tom announces retirement on social media. Well, apparently somebody came out and found that exact spot of where he made that announcement, and it was like on the beach. And so this person collected a bunch of sand from that area, and of course, you can imagine, posted online to be auctioned off. And the last time I saw, as of last Saturday, the bid was at over $100,000, and that made me raise my eyebrow. And I guess technically an eyebrow raiser, to define it, is when you're scrolling through news and something catches your eye, and you're like, You know, and
You sound like Tim the Toolman Taylor.
yeah.
Her.
No, I went,
Well, I feel bad because I didn't have an eyebrow
so
razor.
that's fine. So that's,
and then I ruined yours.
well, I know you double whammy me.
Well,
So that's our definition of an eyebrow raiser, and so we'll feature that segment going forward, and maybe earlier in the broadcast. So did you want to get into our Nuggets then, or did you have something else?
And I was trying to go on Twitter real quick and find out. I don't have an eyebrow razor, but I didn't mention in the NBA that one trade got vetoed because Gary Payton is potentially hurt. So I just want to mention that too.
And
The Hawks got Stig Bay and stuff, but that may not happen. That's why we didn't talk about it.
And who was the trade between the Hawks and Atlanta and who?
It was a 4-team.
Okay, who are the teams?
The Pistons get James Wiseman. The Warriors get Gary Payton back. The Hawks get Sadiq Bey. And I think the Blazers get someone in like 5 picks. 5 second round
So that
picks.
whole trade's up in the air right now.
Yes, because the Warriors may not want to do it if they're getting a hurt Gary Payton.
Okay.
Oh, and the Blazers got Kevin Knox in 5 seconds. Can't forget Kevin Knox.
Oh.
Poor guy.
Okay.
He was supposed to be he was supposed to be the next Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
That never happened.
Okay. Do you want to start off the Nuggets segment?
Hold on. You gotta say the line.
Which line is that?
You know who it is.
Hit the ignition switch. Fire up the boosters.
That was good. You kind of said them both there. All right. I'll go first.
Okay.
You mentioned it earlier, too.
I did?
Aaron Rodgers is going on a darkness retreat.
Oh.
He wants to mentally cleanse himself, sit in a room for, I don't know what he does, but everything's going to be dark. I don't know if he just sits there or if he just does his life
Well, I don't
without
know.
everything
What
dark.
do you do in
no
the dark room?
No electricity. Don't need to talk about that on the internet. So it's supposed to be for 4 days, and he said he's going to make his decision afterwards because he'll be mentally clear and he'll figure it out. So shout out Aaron Rodgers. He's getting a lot of crap for it, but he can do what he wants.
Damn straight.
The only, I didn't agree with Aaron Rodgers on some political things, but for the most part, he's just a unique individual. We'll just say that. And so I kind of hope he decides he gets traded. But if he brings him back, I'm not going to be mad. Okay, we'll get Aaron Rodgers for another year, But I just need the Jordan Love era to go on. It's probably what's best for the organization.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace and love,
You need to
yes.
sign something named Peace.
Yep.
All right. We talked about the NFL honors a little bit earlier. I wanted to mention Danny Kellington, and if you don't know that name, he's the athletic trainer for the Bills who helped give CPR to Damar Hamlin, and he actually received a vote for the NFL's MVP award. And this was tweeted out by Adam Schefter, and apparently the vote came from Susie Colbert from ESPN. So big sign of respect and appreciation for Denny, and I'm sure Damar Hamlin was very happy that he was there. So shout out to Susie and to Denny.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, especially because there's just one, too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. And then more happier news: Brett Favre is suing Shannon Sharp and Pat McAfee.
Woo!
Why are you so happy about that?
Oh, you said it was happier news.
Well, I was joking because it's
Oh.
about suing people. So it's about so apparently, shut up. So apparently they on their shows they were,
Shut up. I closed my underwear. He's glaring at me.
Are you done? Are you
Maybe.
done? So he's suing them for criticizing his role in that welfare scandal that no one seems to talk about for some reason, even though it's a big scandal. So Shannon Sharp, this was on Undisputed. He said this with Skip Bayless. He said, "quote Sorry, mofo, to steal from the lowest of the low," is what he said, and that he stole from people who needed it, is what he said. And Pat McAfee called him a quote unquote thief, and who stole from poor people from Mississippi. So apparently, Brett Favre saying they're making unbiased claims against his character because it's not true. So he's suing them for money. I don't know how much money. He's also suing the state auditor of Mississippi too about it. So yeah, shout out Brett Favre. He's just
Pat McAfee's kind of like the Howard Stern of sports. He's like a shock jock, and he just kind of goes for the big. And
I don't really want to say that because Pat McAfee just seems like a dude who likes football and likes to have fun. He's not necessarily like looking for like big takes. He's just there and he's like, oh yeah, sure. You ever see him like he has
yeah,
like,
I see him.
well, okay,
He's
shut
always
up.
out there in a tank top.
You got to be sarcastic about everything.
No.
Well, Jeff Passan was there talking about baseball, and then AJ Hawk's there, and they're like, Pat McAfee's got his bat, and AJ Hawk will like throw a ball, and he'll go like while they're talking, like they're just goofing around. They're just a bunch of friends.
Kind of like us.
Yeah, he's not out there looking for like but on a more bigger scale. But he's not looking for like quotes or nothing like that, because he gets a lot of crap for Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays, because Aaron Rodgers always says something weird that people are like, you should call him out on it. And he's like, oh, I don't care, I don't know anything. He goes, when they were talking about COVID policy, he goes, I don't know any of this stuff. I don't know any politics. What do you want me to talk about it for?
Well, I bought a 6-pack of nuggets this week. I was extra hungry, so I got a 6-pack. My second nugget,
That was awkward.
barbecue sauce, or you can use ranch if you like. The NFL is going to use flex scheduling for their Sunday night and Monday night football games going forward, which means they can change the matchups to a more relevant game
Any week?
for those, I believe so, for those evenings. And there's actual talk of maybe using it for the Thursday night games. You know,
Hopefully.
in a year or two, there were some bad matchups on Thursday night games last
the
year. So
Frickin' Broncos.
we still watched them, but they were some snoozers. And the players themselves aren't a big fan of the Thursday night games anyway. They wouldn't mind seeing them go away, but there's just too much money to be had, so they're definitely not going to be going away anytime soon. So
Well, it'd be hard to flex those because you can't be like, you're playing Sunday. Oh, nope, you got to play 3 days earlier now. That had to be a couple weeks in advance.
yeah, they'll have to manage the timeline somehow on those.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was just bad because everyone thought the Broncos would be good. And shoot, we got them scheduled the first 5 weeks. So you got to watch damn Broncos again. Poor Al Michaels had to sit there and watch all those shitty games. Well, you have 6 nuggets?
Well, I have. I'll probably have 5 because I think you ate one.
I did eat one of them.
Yeah, I only have 5 then.
Well, can you stop making food analogies?
Sorry.
Do you want to? Sorry. Do one more. So then you can do 2. I do 1, and you do your last 2.
All right. If I say Don Chrisman, do you know that name?
Yes, because you told me about this before we recorded.
Oh.
But in a character, no. Who is that?
Well, let me tell you, Nathan. Don Chrisman is headed west to the Super Bowl. Now, why is Don Chrisman relevant, you say? Well, he's an 86-year-old gentleman, and he's a Super Bowl super fan, and he will attend the Super Bowl for the 57th year in a row. That's right. He's been to every Super Bowl.
That's right.
And he says, quote, I keep saying I'm going to give it up, but there's something inside that says, you got to go. And he said this year he's hoping to bring his daughter along with him. So shout out to Don, living life to the fullest, and he'll be there in Arizona when the Chiefs and the Eagles kick off the Super Bowl. So good for you, Don. Keep living life.
You must be rich.
Well.
Okay. Sorry, I said that out there.
Wah, wah.
All right, I stole this nugget because I only had 2.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are $100 million apart on their contract extension. So
That's your yearly salary.
$100 million? What? A fucking fast food manager? I wish. I'd just work there the rest of my life. No, so this was the year of Lamar Jackson's last deal. He wanted to bet on himself because he got rid of the extension, which rightfully so. He deserves to go out there and try and earn his money. Well, unfortunately, with Lamar Jackson, the injury bug bit him again this year. So he wasn't able to have another full, healthy year. So now this is kind of concerning for him because I understand why he wants the money because at the top, he's an MVP candidate and he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. But for the Ravens standpoint, if he's going to get hurt every year, they can't guarantee him all that money. So that's kind of created a big situation. So it just depends on if the Ravens are willing, if Lamar Jackson's willing to take less money, or if the Ravens really want to risk having a quarterback in the future who's going to get hurt every year. So
Yeah, it's
a tough situation.
It is. You got to be decided, and once you commit, it's not like, oh, I got hurt. I'm gonna give some of that money back because I'm not playing. No, he's keeping that money. So.
Well, I don't blame him.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame him, and I don't blame the team for being a little hesitant about just giving that much money.
There's a difference between proving your money and not wanting to give him the money he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
But when the injury risk, that's a real thing. So I can understand the tension between the two. Before the year, I'd be like, yeah, Lamar Jackson should play, show that he deserves $400 million, and then get it. But now it's kind of, well, if you're going to get hurt every year, why am I going to pay you $30 million to just sit down and let Tyler Huntley, Pro Bowler, Pro Bowl Tyler Huntley play?
Okay. My next nugget is
Barbecue.
sauce.
Barbecue sauce.
On February 1st, 1989, Tecmo Bowl was released for the Nintendo Entertainment System in North America, by the way.
Fuck you, Europeans.
Did you ever play Tecmo Bowl, Nathan?
Yeah.
And then you'd snap the ball and you go, and then and do you have Tecmo Bowl?
No,
I know you have the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Okay, so that's not the actual one.
Uh-huh.
That's when it came out with the NES Mini. It's like it's the NES Classic.
Okay.
So it's like a little tiny one, and it's got like 30 NES games installed on it. Tecmo Bowl is one of them.
Oh, awesome.
So there's 2 controllers. We could play some Tecmo Bowl actually.
Nice.
But
we used to go to my friend Bill's house, and there was 4,
shout out Billy. Hopefully you're listening.
and there was 4 of us, and we'd play a tournament with the teams, and we'd each get our favorite team, and then we did a random draw for the other teams. And I can't remember, but I think we left the Raiders out or something because Bo Jackson was just you couldn't. He would drag like 5 guys into the end zone. You'd like have 5 guys on him and touchdown. And then they'd always show that graphic with him spiking the ball, and he was just a monster. And I don't know if that was a glitch or they just rated him so high in the game.
No, they rated him so high.
It was crazy. But when I saw this, it brought back a flood of memories just hanging out at Bill's and just playing Tecmo Bowl. And his son played with us. And what he would do is he'd get the ball and he would drop all the way back to the end zone. And then he'd rush him and then he'd throw this big, long bomb and he'd complete it. And it's just like, come on, there's no way. And it'd be so frustrating. And he would just smile at you like, I'm so innocent, but I just got you there. So just a flood of memories, like I said, came back. A lot of good times hanging out with Bill and his son Carl, and some of our friends just playing Tecmo Bowl. And I mean, we'd spend all day playing sometimes.
2 things. One, who did you play the NASCAR game with where you raced all the way back and then he crashed you and you got pissed off?
That was his son, Bill's
Okay.
son.
All right, that's what I thought. And then second, I want to shout out my sister Grace. I'll never forget we played college football, and she was LSU, and she like lined up for a 76-yard field goal. I go, what the fuck are you doing? That little tiny 5-foot LSU kicker, right in the end zone. I go, what the? Right through the post. I said, 76 yards. I'll never forget that. That was on the PS2. And I've tried to recreate that. Never happened again. I don't know how she did it, but she did. I think that was Grace or it was Emma. It was one of them.
I think it was Grace.
I think it was too. But we'd always play the mascot games.
Uh-huh.
Because you play as the mascot, and they'd always pick the Syracuse orange because
Oh,
he's
I
always
know.
big.
Yeah.
And then the ball would glitch through him because he's so huge.
Yeah.
Or I'd like to play as the Golden Gopher. 'Cause
Goldie?
Well, Herbie's just like a man. We don't really
I
know
met
plays.
Goldie Gopher. Did I tell you that?
You met Herbie Husker too. We kind of.
We went up and we went up. Well, I'm on a mission. If you don't know, I don't think I've ever mentioned it, but since the
Just taken out of context. I'm on a mission.
I'm on a mission.
Dun, 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 dun,
Since
dun.
since Nebraska joined the Big Ten, I'm trying to get to every away game, and now the son of a bitch has added USC and UCLA, so there's a West Coast trip.
Oh,
But Nathan and I just made it up to Rutgers last year, so I've been to
and we won.
several of them so far. I won't list them because I know I won't remember them all, but
I can guess.
good times. Well, we'll say that for another pod.
Illinois?
Do you have another nugget?
No, remember I stole your last
Oh,
one.
that's right. Now I got 5 in my pack. Well, my last nugget is some of you that are around my age. Do you remember Fernando Valenzuela? He was all the rage, and when he pitched, he would turn his back away from the batter, and he would look skyward as he was turning, and then come and throw the ball. And I think he won Rookie of the Year. I don't have his stats with me. But the Dodgers have decided to retire Fernando's number 34 this August, and he, I think he was of Mexican heritage or South American heritage somewhat, and he was all phenomenon down there and with the Dodgers because there's a big Latin community in L.A. And he was all the rage for several years, and I think he ended up getting hurt and kind of derailed at the end of his career. But just shout out to Fernando. It's always nice to see these teams recognize somebody who was such an influence in their community and for their team and what have you. So
He's Mexican.
Mexican, yeah. So just quite the phenomenon. He actually they actually make a reference to him in Bull Durham and talks about bringing out of his eyelids like a Galapagos lizard or something. And Susan Sarandon's character was saying that's what Fernando did. So. Props to Fernando. Great career and recognition well deserved. So,
Nice.
yeah.
All right, well, that wraps up episode 14 of Fast Intentions.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll see. My mom was making fun of me. She takes Andrew, my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
She says they go swimming at the whatever center. I don't want to say it because
Why?
No, the Croc Center.
Oh, okay.
But they go swimming, and so apparently they listen to the podcast now every morning.
Oh,
And Andrew gets a kick out of listening to me.
not me.
No,
You don't care about
that's
me?
because I'm like his best bud.
No,
we're like
I used to be
homies.
his best buddy.
Well, he had to go get like a CAT scan or something, and they asked him who his best friend was, and he said Gregory. And then he also said Jess and Sophie were his best friend. So shout out to them.
Well, big throwback story is he was at school one day when he was younger, and his teacher kept talking about this Todd, and we were like, we didn't know who he was, and we'd ask him, and he was saying something, but we weren't sure what he was saying. So we went to all his files, went through all his family and history and pets and stuff. We didn't know who Todd was, and then turns out he was his sister's boyfriend. So,
He still asks. He'll ask you. He's like, "How's Todd?" He's doing good.
I like to see Andrew. He's always good to talk to, and
Yeah, my man.
he always says, "I say, how you doing?" He says, "Fine."
Well, now because he calls me on Sundays now, and so he always because he has to ask the same questions over and over. I'll try and throw something in there, and he'll just keep going.
Yeah.
He'll go, "How's the burgers and fries? How's the shakes?" He asked about all the food items because I used to do that to him. I go, we have burgers. He go, burgers. I said, Frenchie. He repeat it back. So now he asked me about all of them. So I got that's him. And he asked if I'm making big bucks.
Yeah.
I said, I'm making big bucks. 19 an hour.
Well, thanks again to Brad for coming on. We appreciate it. Our first ever guest here on Fast Intentions. So
Probably the last.
I enjoyed that conversation. So, but yeah, Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully this pod's uploaded before then. Nathan?
Why are you looking at me?
Because. And I hope you enjoyed the game. I hope you get the result you want, and I hope you get to spend it with your friends and have some good food. And we'll talk about some of the Super Bowl commercials next time we record.
Oh,
I've
already saw the Breaking Bad one. That's my favorite already.
Well, I haven't seen any of them, but we'll talk about the commercials and some other stuff because football season will be over, so we'll have to fill our time slot with something. So,
well, anything with Breaking Bad is going to be my favorite.
But it was nice to record with you while you were in a good mood, Nathan. I appreciate that.
Could you tell I was in a good mood?
I could tell. You told me several times you were in a good mood. So
yeah, I don't know why.
I went with it.
I'm just in a good mood.
I went with it.
I work 12 hours tomorrow, so it'll probably end.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But I don't know. Maybe it'll last.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Whoa.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter at FIntentionspod.
That's right.
If you listen to us on Spotify, make sure you rate 5 stars. Like the podcast, leave a review. Or if you watch us on YouTube, subscribe so you let us know when all the episodes come out. And leave a comment so we can actually do a listener's comment section every once in a while.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I just got that slide whistle sitting in that folder.
Yeah, you can also find us on Anchor.
Anchor, yeah, if you like chips. The hooks, boy. Stay away from the hooks.